I'd like to call to order the first session of the 2024 budget work session reviews to receive and discuss departmental budget requests. I would like to note for the record that council members Hawk, McKim, myself, Deckard, Iverson, and Crossley are here in the Nat U Hill room, and we are joined by Councilor Munson, who is attending virtually via Zoom. We'll start with the adoption of the agenda. Does anyone have an item that they'd like to add or remove or edit from tonight's budget work session agenda? Okay, seeing none, then the agenda is adopted. Item number 3, I will be reading a little bit of instructions for everyone's benefit. So in addition to welcome everyone, I want to remind council members and the public that during these sessions, we are reviewing and discussing departmental budgets as they are presented. This is not the final approval of the 2024 Monroe County annual budget, nor is it the formal budget hearing. The public hearing is scheduled for Tuesday, October 3rd at 5:30 p.m., and the budget final adoption will occur Tuesday, October 17th at 5:30 p.m. The public can make comment regarding a budget during those meetings. As we begin, a department will be invited to join us in order to present their budget. And as a reminder, departments have been allotted a specific amount of time for their budget review. This is based on the times from last year, and as always, council might extend it if we need it or have more questions. However, we want to be mindful of the time and keep things focused on budget requests specifically. If a non-budget topic requires further dialogue, then we'll make a determination at that point, and we can ask Ms. Shell, our council administrator, to reach out to the department head and schedule a discussion at our next available regular or work session. We're just trying to move things along and get everybody in a timely manner through their sessions. During the department's review, we may be asking to explain any increases or additions to your 2024 budget. Council members will be given the opportunity to ask questions. They can make recommendations to increase or decrease account lines based on the discussion or the need of the department. Council will then vote to approve moving forward with the department's reviewed budget request. Again, it's not the final approval of the budget, but it's a recognition of the requests presented or as amended by council. Does anyone have any questions here on council? All right. We have done this before. So now we move to item 4, which I'd like to give the opportunity to Councilor McKim for a few minutes to review our anticipated 2024 revenue and expenditure totals as we start out. He's been very gracious every year to get us kind of in the right headspace for doing this, and I very much appreciate it.
So am I allowed to to share my screen? I don't see that I am right now.
You should be.
Should I? Okay.
At the bottom.
Shares. Oh, there, it just appeared. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Pretty much I'm doing what I do every year, which is take all of the information provided mainly by the auditor, which includes all the information from the 4B statements, and kind of summarize them in a spreadsheet in particular that kind of allows us to look at everything in the frozen levy together, because that's really what we care about, not what's in general by itself, but what's in everything together. So all the, and this is in your Dropbox, all of the base numbers in the spreadsheet at this point come from the 4Bs that the auditors already distributed. So there shouldn't, and then the budgets that departments have submitted and that we're going to be reviewing. So hopefully that's all pretty straightforward. I just want to make a couple of call attention to a couple of things. The property tax levy is as shown in the auditor's office's 4Bs. That number is about, you see, basically what I did here is I summed up all of the property tax levies from the funds within the frozen levy, which is general, election, health, aviation, reassessment, and cumulative bridge. I summed those up as provided by the auditor's office in the 4Bs. And then I did a calculation where basically I took what we got last year in those levies and added the maximum levy growth quotient, which by the state was 4% this year, even though it should have been 5.1%. In a nod towards property tax relief, the state reduced it to 4%. But that said, the totals in the 4Bs come out to about $250,000 more than what I would have calculated that I think we'll actually get. There are definitely reasons why you want to be estimate high rather than low, because we've lost money in the past because of the rounding errors on the decimals, and we don't want to ever wind up to be low. We always want to get every penny we can get. But just kind of keep that in mind, that I think that these levies in the 4Bs are just going to be about $250,000 higher than we're probably going to wind up getting. Now, where does that leave us at the end of the day? So the final number in the 4B is the operating balance. And that's basically I used last year's template, and I should have updated that to 2024. The operating balance is basically at the end of next year, what do we have left in the bank after all the projected revenues have come in and all the projected expenditures have been made? And then, and so that number actually appears on the 4B. I've also added another calculation, which I call the net 2024 revenue. And that's essentially, for that fund, are we budgeting a surplus or a deficit? And then finally, the operating balance is a percentage of budget, because there are guidelines that are recommended for how much of an operating balance you want to keep as a percentage of your budget. And what we see is, I think, what reflects I think the correct philosophy, and a philosophy we've discussed here in the past and the auditors talked about in the past, and that's essentially that we just have one savings account. So that's why you'll see that the operating balance in the general fund is still relatively generous, but the operating balances in all the other funds in the frozen levy, and CUME funds are a little different, so CUME Bridge, don't consider that, but the operating balances in election, health, aviation, and reassessment are quite small, with the idea that we don't want to use all these funds as savings accounts. We have one savings account, which is the general fund, and then when even that gets too big, we move money to the rainy day fund. So that's why you'll see the big operating balance in the general fund and relatively small in the other funds. What we do see, if you look at this column L, that's total frozen levy. Let me try to zoom in a little bit more. You will see that the net 2024 revenue is still a deficit of 1.5 million. So what we see here is a budgeted deficit based on everything that's been input so far. It's, we haven't done a thing to the budgets. We haven't. This also, by the way, does not include any cost of living for employee salaries. We're going to get to that in a couple of minutes, and Michelle is going to go over those numbers again. But just to make it clear that where we are right now with everything that's been submitted, for our frozen levy, we're at about $1.5 million in deficit in terms of projected spending versus projected revenues. Now, that said, what we almost always wind up with is a substantial amount of reversions, that is unspent appropriations, that wind up adding to the cash balance. So for example, in 2023 or in 2022, in the general fund, we had $2.4 million worth of reversions. So that's why, a deficit like that isn't something by itself to be at around this level. It's not something to be worried about. Now, do remember that in 2023, we're probably not going to have very large reversions, because we did a bunch of salary increases for public safety employees out of it as additional appropriations, not in the base budget. So there are going to be a lot less in reversions in 2023. Now, of course, in 2024, that goes away unless we do a whole bunch of additional appropriations again. So that's where we are with the frozen levy. I also did those same calculations with a couple of our other funds. With the public safety local income tax, for example, we're at about a $574,000 deficit with respect to the submitted budgets versus revenues. That's approximately the amount of reversions that we had in 2022 as well. So that by itself is not something to be concerned about. We also, of course, we know that we have in the lit special purpose, we have yet another budgeted surplus. Now, we know we've already taken the steps to reduce that tax rate. So that number is going to change. And we'll see that number ultimately in lit corrections. And I don't know what the status of that is, or if we're even going to be budgeting lit corrections in this budget session. But that's where we are. In the cumulative, the cable franchise fees fund, I also noticed that we have a substantial cash balance. And so that's something that we've often done this in the past when we see kind of miscellaneous IT expenditures that we'd like to reduce from the general fund or public safety lit, we move those to cable franchise. And so we still have some, $100,000 or more of kind of capability likely in that fund to absorb some technical expenses. So I guess before we move on to Michelle's reminding us of what various levels of cost of living adjustment for employee salaries would be, does anybody have any comments or discussion on the 4Bs as they stand now?
I do. If you could scroll back over, just the last thing you said, I was still catching up. All the way back over to the right, the cable franchise.
Yes.
And you said there was about 100,000?
Well, I guess I said that because there's such a large operating balance there. There's such a large cash balance, 113% of the budget. So not only do we have a $26,000 projected surplus, plus there's plenty of cash there to absorb. Okay. Like I said, miscellaneous IT things, communications expenses that come up.
So it could,
yeah, we don't put salaries in there. The auditor reminded me one time. Yeah, we don't put salaries in there.
Right. Okay. All right.
And just as a reminder regarding that fund, we've been told for years that we are allowed to use that for anything. Now, we have just traditionally tried to keep it to IT things, but we could put anything in that fund that we would, for whatever legal purpose we would choose to.
Yeah, you're right. That is more of a tradition than anything.
Right. It was just, that's what we've done.
Okay.
I do have a question on something else when you're through. Okay. I wasn't able to see these after you changed them. The last I saw that it looked as if in the general fund, we were not in deficit, but we were to the good of about $300,000.
We are. I haven't changed. This
Oh,
hasn't
okay,
changed
you changed it. Because this little print here is very.
Oh, sorry. I will
Well,
make it
yours
bigger.
is enlarged,
will
but
make it
it's not
bigger.
enlarged here. Thank you. I'll review it when I
Okay,
get home.
but yeah, it's the same
Okay.
as it was before. So you're right.
I
The
just
general
looked
fund
at
is-
this just a while ago, so you haven't changed it that much in the last couple of hours or so.
I have not changed it in the last couple days.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions for me? I just wanted to, kind of level set of where we are now, and then we can see how that compares to various levels of cost of living for employee salaries.
So just one more comment. We know that we can't run into a deficit in these other funds once we've added on for any salary adjustments for COLA, because you can't move from one fund to another fund in any given year once we have voted on it. So we have to make sure that bottom line is right for all of those frozen levy funds.
And actually, I apologize. There's one major thing I forgot to comment on here, and that's the health levy. one thing you may be very surprised to see, is that the health levy is zero. And the reason the auditor is, maybe I don't want to put words in your mouth, but why don't you go ahead and tell us why you're recommending zero levy in the health fund?
Had chocolate in my mouth. Sorry about that. Can you guys hear me?
Not that well.
Okay, how about now? I talk so loud, I don't want to blow you out of the room. Okay, so basically, we get our tax money when we collect it in November. We distribute it, my office and the treasurer, we co-distribute it, and we do that in December. So in December, we have our fresh supply of money that we've collected through taxes to fund January through June, when we get our next infusion of cash. So the health department will be getting money from the state based on Senate Bill 4, but right in January, right after they get this large infusion of cash from county property taxes. So it doesn't, we don't want to use those funds as a savings account. We only really want basically two savings accounts. We want the county rainy day fund, and then we want the cash balance in the general fund to collect any extra levy money that we have that we can potentially send to rainy day as savings money to collect in the general fund. So we don't want to run up a balance in a fund that we're not going to need it, because they'll have their new funding stream. So it makes sense to move that, to use the levy growth money that we're going to accumulate in the general fund. It gives the county council more flexibility on how they can spend that money, and it also helps ensure that if we do have extra money, we can move it to rainy day. And I say this, and I think I know I've talked to Kate about it, but when I ran for auditor 7 years ago, I was very concerned because the rainy day funds were so very low. They were down to $650,000. You know, it was very important to me to build that rainy day fund up, because if we'd had a true rainy day, a true emergency, we did not have enough at that time to cover that. Not a payroll emergency, not if we couldn't get our tax bills out on time, or if we had a tornado or any kind of true emergency. So we have built that up using this strategy of collecting the money in the general fund and moving it to the rainy day systematically over the past 7 years that I've been auditor. And so now we are sitting cash plush in the rainy day fund, and we have our 4% growth. I don't want to make another savings account in a fund that I don't think will need it. So it makes sense with the new health funding streams, us to be as absolutely transparent as possible to you, the council, and to the public in general, by staying that course of putting our extra money in general fund, so it's perfectly transparent and we know what we really do have available to spend. So I hope that explains it. It's a philosophy.
Well, and I think the other piece is that with the new SB4 money, that's going to be going into a different fund. What we're going to continue to have to spend out of this fund, the 1159 health fund, is essentially the match, the local match that's based on our last 3 years our average of our last 3 years of budgeted expenditure. So I think that's the reason, is the need to spend out of this fund is also going to go way down.
You still have to be money there.
There still will have to be some money in there, yeah. And of course, we'll still have miscellaneous revenue. The health department has a lot of fees that support their property tax levy as well. So sorry, I didn't mean to.
Just to add to that, there's roughly $500,000 or so in miscellaneous revenue annually. So we'll just have to come up with another $400,000 or so for 2025. So we will definitely be cognizant and make sure that there's the appropriate amount of money there for the match.
Yep. Thank you. All right, so Michelle, did you want to tell us where we are on cost of living?
You gotta give it the screen.
Oh, sorry. Stop share.
Earlier at council meetings, I provided this documentation with regards to where we would be depending on what percentage the council would choose as a COLA. This that you're looking at right now is all budgets. Amounts. You can see the flat rates, but the percentages is what is used. And the difference is over here in this last column of what it would, an estimate of what it would cost us over all budgets with personnel. But this one here shows, this is just a snapshot of the general fund right here and what the cost would be. So can everybody see that? Okay. So here's just the general fund, and depending on what, but I wanted to show you the CPI is what we've normally looked at in past years, and the CPI is the Consumer Price Index. And so that came out at 6%. So if council chooses to go with a 6%, or increase, that would cost the general fund approximately $1.6 million. I also gave as reference the other percentages, but the 7.8 is where the probation ended up from the state recommendation, as well as the 8.5, which the commissioners recommended. So then you've got this fund here, which is public safety lit. With that, the 6%, a cost would toward the public safety lit would be approximately $120,000. Lit special purpose would be approximately $143,000, and then finally I put in there the health, but that will probably vary depending on what we do with that, the SB4, so, or SB1. So the jail, that was one of them that was asked, and that, so I tried to give a reference with regards to jail, just that one. And so with the 6%, you're looking at a 271%. Oh, yeah, because they have general fund as well as PS Lit. So for the general fund, it'd be about $271,000, and the PS Lit would only be about $20,000. I believe that's because they only have like 5 employees in the PS Lit. So.
But those numbers are already included in the general fund and PS Lit numbers you showed above, right?
Pardon?
The jail numbers were also included in the general fund and PS Lit numbers you had above.
Yes,
You just
in
broke this
above.
out,
I just
but
broke those out.
We don't need to add that in. Okay.
Yeah, that's just a breakout from those. They are included in these totals up here.
So if you want to, so what I'm hearing is basically, if we want to remember some big picture numbers for the general fund, $1.6 million buys us a 6% raise. $2.1 million buys us a 7.8% raise, and $2.25 million buys us an 8.5% raise.
That is correct.
For general.
For general.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, I would like to address what Ms. Shell did say. When she was explaining the different breakouts, she talked about CPI is usually, what we're targeting. But I do want to point out that we did not give that last year. We gave 2.5% less than CPI last year. And that's why the commissioners, along with me, me as auditor, is recommending the 8.5 because that's CPI for this year plus the 2.5% that we were short last year. Now, that's not true all the way across the board because some people did get larger raises, but I'm talking about for everyone across the county to catch up from last year and to meet the CPI for this year. I'm asking for 8.5, and I know the commissioners are too. And let's think about the percentages. If we'd have got that 2.5%, that 6% would be more than the 2.5% because now we're not doing the math correctly. So if you just add it together, it's 8.5%. But if we'd already got it, 6% of what we'd already have would be greater. So I do want to point that out.
Well,
So I'm graciously only asking for 8.5%, but I think it's very, very doable. And in my heart of hearts, I know it's the right thing to do for the employees of Monroe County.
I'm just going to say that the auditor tried to point out what employees would have lost from that year of not getting that extra 2.5%, but that was more than made up for by the $2,000 retention bonus. So I wouldn't play that card. I do think
Well, I can
I'd like
certainly
to
play
think
that card
8.5
because I didn't get that $2,000, and neither did everybody else. Only
neither did
certain people
us
got
on
that.
this table, but we're okay. I guess what I would say then is, I do think that those raised numbers are possible. What that means is that we need to when we're going through these budgets, we need to look at what we can reduce. We need to look at every budget carefully and see what we can reduce. But I do think that that COLA number is possible.
Okay.
Which one? 8.5.
I would think that should be our target. I
Yeah.
want to try. I don't know that we can
I'm
get there.
not disagreeing, I'm just
I think we should try for that.
the chicken in every pot, you know how that works.
We got cut off for a second, but we're back.
Okay. Any other questions about the COLA or Councilor McKim's overview? Yes, Councilor Crossley.
I just have a quick question. This is what we're talking about as far as COLA is just giving us food for thought going into our budget workshops. So nothing is going to be decided today, but this is just giving us, okay, I just want to make sure we're all on the
Yeah, I
same
kind of
page with
wanted
that.
to just show what the
Okay.
stakes were and what's
Okay.
possible.
But it's nice to see, but it gives us food for thought going into, if we're looking into asking departments to potentially decrease some of the things that they have in their budget. Okay, thank you.
And it looks like some are already coming up with reductions already. We've already received 3 today. So.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so to that end, let's go ahead and move to our first department, which is the treasurer. If Jessica McClellan could please join us. Welcome. And we did receive an email from you today.
Good evening. Yes, in our discussion about all the salary changes we'd like to make for next year, I took another look at the budget, and I wasn't able to make that big of a change, but every drop counts. This is really an overall $5,000 decrease of my modest budget. I'm mostly salaries. My salary total is $319,350, and then I have just really basic expenses are office supplies, printing, which is for the tax bills, repairs, which is usually to repair our letter opener or safe, dues due to the Treasurers Association, bank service fees, which are just there in an emergency. Sometimes we have a little thing with a couple banks where that happens, but usually not. Training and travel, which is to conferences. Maintenance is an exact amount that I got from a contract for next year, so we know that's got to stay. And then postage was a percentage increase, and I don't use all my postage every year, and so I was told to raise my postage by 10% by my mailer. The people who mail my tax bills, they hear down the pipe that postage is going up, so they say raise 10%. So I just took what I actually spent and raised it 10%. Instead of what I was budgeted. So I will give you the exact numbers that I'm going to change right now. I'm going to change office supplies from $3,800 to $2,800. I want to change printing and subscriptions from $20,000 to $18,000. And I want to change postage from 28,600 to 26,000. So I think that that is an accurate reflection of what I'm actually going to spend next year as well. And I think that we should always have our budget show, what we really are going to spend, because it just sets the tone for the future. Like in the future, people come in and they just want to do the same thing they did last year, and we got to make sure it's right.
Thank you.
So that's the bulk of really my presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer
I
them.
appreciate the transparency there too, very much. Let's hear a motion and then we can have questions.
All right, council, I'm going to move to open for discussion and review Fund 1000-0003, General Fund Treasure, with the category requests of, and this is as we have it right now, personnel, $500,379, supplies, $3,800, and services, $56,250 for a total currently of $560,429.
Second.
Okay, and as we know, we'll be changing those momentarily, but are there questions for the treasurer from council?
It's a drop in it seems like a drop in a bucket, but we've got a lot of departments, so everything helps.
Councilor Munson has her hand up, and then we'll go to Councilor McKim.
I just wanted to say that I think this was a great start to the beginning of our budget sessions, and I thank our treasurer for jumping into the realm that we need to be in to reduce our overall requests if we are going to meet the COLA levels that we all want to meet. And I thank her for starting with this, and I want to encourage all departments to pay special heed and to do what you can to contribute to this. So thank you, Treasurer. Appreciate your help.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Councilor McKim?
Yes, this is a bare bones budget to begin with. Our treasurers doesn't have a lot of fluff in there she could get rid of. So you always bring us a great budget, and I certainly will support this moving forward, hopefully with some raises in there.
So actually, one of the reasons why we're in as good a position financially as we are is because of the large amount of interest income that we're seeing now. Can you just talk a little bit about what you're seeing in terms of our investments?
It's called the overnight yield rate, or the overnight interest rate, has just skyrocketed across the country. Trust Indiana is a great investment resource for us, and it has the highest. It's completely liquid. We can move money back and forth every single day, and it is at 5.3%. Our bank, the bank where most of our deposits are, is at 5%. I've just been very aggressive at watching those rates and moving money back and forth as I need to, and making sure that claims are always covered and the money that we don't need is in somewhere it's getting a good rate. I tried really hard this year to kind of, I think, show off what can be done if you really put, a consistent effort into monitoring it and doing things, not just parking it somewhere and forgetting about it. So it's really just the rate environment right now is really good.
And so we're really talking about $3 million more than we've had in the past for a year in interest.
Yes, I can't believe it. I mean, I've tracked the interest since I've been there, and I've never seen interest like this. Even last year, I would have never guessed that I was going to make this much interest this year. And it's scary because I don't have a crystal ball, and I don't know when this is going to end. And there's, but it seems like the feds might raise rates again. They're saying interest hasn't cooled off as much as they want, but we'll see.
Some of this, I assume, is made from our ARPA.
Yes.
ARPA fund. So that will that will go away at some point once.
Exactly. That's a thing that we have to keep our eye on. It's very important that we know that we have kind of artificially increased cash balance, because we have right now $25 million extra dollars that we need to spend away by 2026. So over the next 2 years, that's going to decrease, and we'll be back to our, so. So we just need to keep an eye on that. And, you know, the treasurer can always watch how much of our total interest is coming from that ARPA balance. And then, you know, make sure we watch it go down.
That is,
and know that that's happening.
that is sort of the key question that I had when I was hearing about the interest boon, which yay. Can you estimate kind of how much of that interest, like what percentage is ARPA?
Yeah, it's about 16%.
Thank you. Cool.
I had a really good discussion with Councilor Hawk yesterday or the day before, and we talked about this, and she really got my wheels turning, and I did some numbers. So I'm pretty confident to say it's about 16% of our interest income, because it's about 16% of our cash fund balance.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's not huge. I mean,
Yeah,
a
right.
lot of that is still just our general county operations. So
Yeah,
that's-
yeah.
It's tied
not
to the
huge,
same as
huge.
the general fund, but she's all over it. She's got this, sent it out within no time at all, exactly how it would work. So we're very fortunate indeed.
So, Council, I move we set line 20001 office supplies to $2,800, 30003 printing subscriptions to $18,000, and 30800 postage to $26,000.
Second.
Is there any further discussion or questions? Councilor Deckard.
I just want to make the comment, this is as Councilor Munson said, this is a good opening to budgets. And I appreciate the diligence in which you're approaching all that interest, because what lost opportunity that would be. I also just want to compliment, I get a lot of feedback from our mutual constituents who go through your office and make all this possible, for all your diligence with them. I get a lot of good comments on that, and that I know that your job is not I know we have a lot of folks with a lot of hard jobs, but I know particularly at certain times of the year, your folks, it's a little bit more difficult due to what we're all talking about. So thank you for all that diligence.
Anything else from council? No? Okay. Could I have a roll call vote on moving forward with the treasurer's general fund?
Technically, we have to do the motion first and then the underlying budget, right?
Didn't we read the motion?
And technically, we don't really have to vote, but
Well, that's true.
you can vote if you wish.
That's true. Well,
Okay.
Oh, we need the amendment.
If you don't want to vote,
I'm going to vote for this one.
Oh, that's right.
It's easy.
Okay. Would you like a vote on the amendment? Is that what we're talking about? Okay. I apologize. Could we have a roll call vote on amending the submitted budget from the treasurer for general fund?
Regarding the amendment, Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Excellent. Thank you. Anything further? And then I will go ahead and ask for a roll call vote on moving forward with the Treasurer's General Fund 2024 budget request.
Why do we need that?
Okay, and this is on moving forward with the budgets, including the amendments. Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you, and thank you.
And I just wanted to address the council that I'm keeping track of these amendments. We will make those tomorrow, and then we'll present the bundle so that you'll know what happened. Okay?
Thank you.
Awesome.
All right.
So next, we have our Employee Services Department. So welcome to E. Sensenstein, our Personnel Administrator.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 100309, General Fund Employee Services, with the category results of requests of personnel, $254,827. In the supplies category, $1,500. In the services category, $65,153, for a total of $321,480.
Second.
Welcome.
Good evening, Council. I just wanted to give a brief introduction before I get into the specific line items. So the Employee Services Department consists of 2 employees that manage the data entry and processing of payroll and the managing of employee benefits for 800 people. As you can imagine, that includes a lot of address changes, life event changes, direct deposit, as well as managing FMLA requests and workers' compensation. Council recently approved the addition of a new person in our department. That person will start in a few weeks, and we anticipate being able to provide more timely and efficient service to employees and departments. As a result of that expansion, and we have a lot of big goals for 2024. In the budget, you'll see that some of the additional items include the salary for that new person, as well as increases to longevity, FICA, and PERF for that new employee. And then there is a slight increase to office supplies because over the past couple of years, I've been trying to whittle down the supplies we already have. And I do anticipate an increase in needing some W-2 and 1099 envelopes and some additional storage boxes for our payroll claims and things like that. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention is that I did email Kim this afternoon as well for a reduction in our the request that I made for training and travel. Originally, I'd requested $9,000 because in 2021 we reduced that line from $4,000 to $2,000 because of COVID. We didn't need that amount. And so in the past 2 years, I myself have used about $1,500 on just 1 or 2 trainings. And with the addition of the SHRM certification for myself, there are some training requirements and some things that I need to keep up on. So that was the increase that I had budgeted for originally, but I reevaluated the funds that I have remaining for 2023. I think I can use some of those to reduce the amounts for next year. So I'd like to change the amount from $9,000 to $5,000 with the addition of a new employee and a new to the payroll role. I think that there are some things they can take advantage of as far as AIC and association trainings and things like that. So there is a slight increase for those things. So happy to answer any other questions that you have.
Well, thank you. Questions? Councilor Iverson.
Yeah, thank you for presenting your budget and for the reduction. That helps. My question is on the final line of your budget for countywide employee training. I really enjoyed the Fred Pryor trainings. I've taken part in them and really found benefit in them. Am I the only one? How's it
No,
going?
I mean, if you want some reports, I can run some reports. They're pretty, some employees have asked, they've said they've taken all the things that apply for that specific subject that they're doing, and they're looking for more. So I think people are really using that, using it for a variety of reasons. In that line, I did budget for some additional trainings. Fred Pryor offers some in-person, very specific trainings that we can, and I'm hoping to be able to do that quarterly. So there is a little bit of a budgeting for that too. So trying to get some of those additional items that people are interested in.
Great. Well, thank you for thinking of that. That's a really good asset for our employees.
Yeah.
I wanted to just follow up on that question. Are you getting feedback from those who are taking the trainings as to more specifically what trainings they're maybe interested in adding?
Sometimes, yeah, there are some specific things. Like one of the things that I'm thinking of specifically for next year, there's like an OSHA 10-hour training, which would be beneficial, but it's not something you can really do virtually through that system. So there are some things like that that are a little bit more specific to certain areas that would be appropriate.
Okay, great, thank you. Councilor Decker, did you have?
I was going to ask about the Fred Pryor training, and I'm glad to see it in your budget. I think it's a good thing too.
Questions to my right at all? Or online? I've lost, there we go.
Council, I move we set line 30028 training travel reduce it from $9,000 to $5,000.
Second.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and ask for a roll call vote on that amendment.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Munson. Not present. Counselor Wiltz,
Yes?
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you.
We still have to vote on the actual thing. That was
Oh,
just the
sorry.
amendment. Are there any other questions or comments though before we let them go? Okay. Let's go ahead and do the roll call vote for moving the budget for the Employee Services Department, General Fund, forward.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes?
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
No.
Counselor Iverson.
Yes.
Motion passed 6-1.
Thank you. Our next agenda item is number 7, and that is weights and measures with Scott Souter. So welcome. Come on up.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 1000-0308, General Fund Weights and Measures, with the category requests of personnel in the personnel category, $77,275. In the supplies category, $5,700. In the services category, $2,500, for a total of $85,475.
Second.
Hi, and welcome.
Welcome. So I'm Scott Souter, the Inspector of Weights and Measures for the county. As you can see from the budget, it's relatively flat as usual. I did have some minor increases this year. You know, with the fuel cost, some years being down, some up, I did raise that line a little bit. Raise training a little bit because of an extra conference I'll be going to this year. But besides that, I dropped postage because I'm not using that much postage. So, any questions?
Okay, thank you. Any questions from council to my left? To my right? This is very straightforward. And I do not have any questions either. So thank you very much. Let's go ahead and do a roll call vote for moving forward with the Weights and Measures General Fund 2024 budget request.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes?
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now we're at item 8, which is our Veterans Affairs Department. And we have Andrew Blake here with us, our Veterans Benefit Coordinator. Oh, and Ms. Purdy. Welcome to both of you.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 1000-0012, General Fund Veteran Affairs, with the category requests of, in the personnel category, $141,936. In the supplies category, $800. In the services category, $4,800, for a total of $147,536.
Second.
Okay, welcome.
Hi, good afternoon, or excuse me, good evening.
Yeah. So, oh, you got to talk like,
Right up to you.
you got to just like get up
Can y'all
close
hear
and
me?
personal.
That's
There you
good.
go.
Sorry about that.
No.
First off, Mr. Miller wanted me to send his regrets. He was not able to make it to the meeting tonight. He's currently out of the state, so I'm filling in for him. I'm new to the position, only been here for a couple months now. Not new to the county, though. I previously just transferred over from the sheriff's office where I work patrol. So during my time, I also served in the Indiana Army Guard, so that's a little bit of what my background is. So
Oh, great.
happy to be here, happy to continue to serve.
Happy to have you.
Yeah.
And the only thing I'm going to add is that there have been no changes to the budget. It's just the same as it has been.
Pretty straightforward, so.
Indeed. Okay. All right. Yeah, it looks like it. Are there questions? Counselor Deckard.
I just wanted to make the comment, appreciate very much Mr. Blake being here. We're so excited to have him in that role. And also, I know Mr. Miller's away and will not hear this. Hopefully it'll be passed along. Just how enormously proud I am of how much this department is working with our veterans, which is saintly work alone, but also our veterans that are in the homeless community. I hear a lot of comments that sometimes personify some of the individuals that are all the residents of our community and out and about. And some of those folks, friends, are veterans. And good heavens, what a country. We've got to figure that out. I'm glad our department is working on that. And that's awesome. And there's not a day I don't go in the American Legion or the other organizations that I don't know that we're doing an effort here. And I appreciate Mr. Miller, the effort, and of course the commissioners being supportive of that. That's huge, so thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Can I add to that?
Yeah,
Of course.
I just want to share that they've actually, since January, they housed 16 veterans that were homeless. So it's pretty significant.
That's correct. I actually just left a meeting at the Shalom Center before I came here, and we're working on within the next 60 days getting somebody else housed. So it's good work that we're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's really heartening. That's good to hear. Other comments or questions? All right, then could I have a roll call vote on moving forward with the Veterans Affairs Department's General Fund 2024 budget requests?
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes?
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor McKim.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next department is our legal department, and we have Dave Schilling, our county legal administrative attorney, with us.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 1000-0277 General Fund Legal with the category requests of, in the personnel category, $668,596. In the supplies category, $1,145. In the services category, $44,258 for a total of $713,999.
Second.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Dave Schilling from the Legal Department. And our budget in the supplies and services categories has not changed since 2018. And the only changes to the personnel lines are the ones that were authorized by the council memo.
Well, there you have it. Are there questions about the budget?
Just that it does, one of these lines is going to be vacant very soon. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yes, and actually I was planning to open that up for discussion. I know that we are supposed to stay on task here per my own directive, but it was requested that we, as a council, discuss the opening that's coming up in the legal department before they fill it. And this seems like an opportune time to find out if there are questions or concerns on the part of council that Mr. Schilling could address. Does anyone have any concerns about filling the soon-to-be vacant legal position? Questions? Yes.
I was the one that asked that it be delayed to be filled until we could see where we were budget-wise. I don't think we know yet. And when we have a vacancy, and we could just hold off for a while and make sure that all of our employees receive a COLA, then I would request that we do that. It would be, pretend somebody's on vacation for a while.
Okay.
I mean, I won't support it, but if you folks wish to, that's.
Sure. I would then turn to you, Mr. Schilling, and ask maybe if you could characterize whether or not you felt like that was a reasonable impact on your department's functioning to ask.
Well, we will certainly abide by whatever you decide, but we think that there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and having 3 people do the work of 4 people would make meeting deadlines and so forth more difficult. But
certainly,
that's up to you.
It's my personal opinion that while I supported pausing and thinking it through, that our legal staff, in my experience, have a lot going on in just the daily functions of the administrative legal support that we need. The departments depend on these folks, and we have some ongoing litigation that needs some attending to as well. So my personal opinion is that we should go ahead and authorize the filling of this position unless there are further objections. Yes.
It seems to me that there are many paths to reach our COLA targets, and making one department have 3 people doing the work of 4 is probably not a wise path, particularly in a legal department. So I would agree with you, Madam President.
But wait, this does not constitute the formal review that was requested, does it?
No.
Okay.
I'm just expressing my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a request for this to go to the entire council. This is the first opportunity since there was that request for the entire council to address this issue. So the next opportunity would be at the work session, which is September 26th.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to gather a little more information before taking that particular vote on workload and that sort of thing. I mean, yeah, my general impression is that the county attorneys work extremely hard and are extremely busy, and probably don't have a whole lot of slack. So I'm inclined to support refilling it, but I just want to make sure that that wasn't on our agenda, and we weren't prepared to make that decision right now.
Well, what exactly then is we're just fulfilling the request to discuss it. In order to move forward, though, with filling the position, the discussion has to indicate that he should do so. In the meantime, if the discussion doesn't indicate that, he has an open position that he cannot address. Is that? I'm looking at my lawyer for advice. I'd like to get the legal department's advice on just making sure I'm interpreting the policy correctly.
I was gonna say, she doesn't need the help. She loves the work.
I think that's a fair interpretation of the policy.
That's her boss sitting there,
I do know, yes.
But, my concern, of course, is that it's a time-consuming process. And so if we wait a couple weeks until the work session, then we go through the advertising process and allow applicants a couple weeks to respond, and then the interview process. It gets us into the holidays before we're able to do anything.
Do you know, and if so, could you remind us of the department served by the attorney leaving the position?
Yes, and we have divided those on a temporary basis.
Okay,
already.
you're already covering
Yeah.
or planning to cover.
Yes.
Tell me more.
So, sheriff, highway, Health Department, Assessor, Solid Waste, Traffic Commission, Recorder, Local Records Commission, PETA-BOA, EMAC, Emergency Management, Animal Management, Local Emergency Plan Council, Veterans Affairs, and Human Resources. Those have been divided.
Those are just all one person's workload that will be divided now among 3 people if we don't fill, or until we fill.
That's correct.
Madam President, that is a lot.
I agree.
But
yes,
I just wanted to comment that I know there's been a question in the past. I don't think it was included in his budget, but I know the sheriff has indicated he would like to have his own legal counsel. And so that is a part of the reason for my delay in doing this. He would like to have one that represents the sheriff's department.
Is that requested in the current budget for the sheriff?
Will be.
I would have to look.
I know that we were sent an update today,
There
and
was
I
a
didn't.
line
There
for
was a
that. I
line.
don't, in the services, I don't remember how large it was. But
The sheriff has always had outside counsel.
Right. Is that different than the outside counsel line that they've had?
Look, you'd have to speak with the sheriff if
I
you're
guess
looking
so.
at me for the question.
I'm sorry. Well, you brought it up. I thought maybe you had extra info. I
It's
don't.
just part of my thought process.
Okay. Councilor Crossley?
So I guess to that point, and listing and hear Mr. Schilling list all the departments, even if the sheriff did decide to have his own legal counsel, that's still a lot of departments that you are responsible for and staff is responsible for that are now divvied up between a lot of people with current litigation and, knock on wood, any other potential litigation that would come through. So, I mean, I get your point of it's gonna take time to notice and interview and train that person and that person feel comfortable. You're looking into a long way. Once that person even still gets on the job, there's still so much that goes along with that. So I don't see the point of delay, but that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I don't see a situation in which I wouldn't fill the position at this point. It would have to be something pretty dire. I see that Councilor Munson has her hand raised. Go right ahead.
Thank you. I wanted to add to this discussion that it's my understanding that the attorney who is leaving is one of the main litigators for our legal department. And that is also a special skill that not all of our attorneys spend much of their time on.
Is that the case?
I would say yes.
Okay. So in order to resolve this, I would like to have a vote in order to say up or down now he's able to move forward.
there's no point in having this discussion again that we just had. So yes, I would agree with
Yeah.
that.
Okay, so I'm calling for a roll call vote of,
Somebody should make a motion first.
yeah, I guess there should be a motion. That's how this works. What's wrong? Okay. You may add a comment.
I know we're delayed on the budget, but I will make a pertinent comment. I think that there's merit to thinking through the ways that we engage the legal department for so many different things. And I think that what Councilor Hawk has brought up makes me think of that. Now, the reality is, in this building, particularly with us as elected officials, and it's not just us, it's all the elected officials, we often will not ask for directions to the bathroom without going through legal to get some sort of memo or something. If we ever, and what I'm saying, and by the way, there's no saints on this dais. We all have done it. And out there, they all have too. And what I'm saying is, I'm not knocking that. It means we're cautious. I'm sure that's put some silver in Mr. Schilling's hair a time or two, and Molly. But what I'll say is, if we would ever be serious about changing that, I think we in these positions could review and look at our practices that add to that work. And if we want to commit to that, that's going to take work on our part. I do think that this is not the practical time for it, because I think we have not trained ourselves on that. But I think there's some merit, and who knows what that is, to thinking through how much we are constantly sending through people on even non-legal questions that might relate to logistics or scheduling, et cetera. So that will take all of us, me included, doing that. But I don't think today's that day.
So I would entertain a motion at this point. Anyone?
I move to allow legal to fill the position despite the raised objection and to move forward with this hiring.
Second.
All right. Yeah, go ahead and call the question then. Yes, roll call vote, please.
Sorry, I was catching up on my typing out the motion. Counselor Crossley.
Yes.
Counselor Deckard.
Yes.
Counselor Hawk.
No?
Counselor Iverson.
Yes.
Counselor McKim.
Yes.
Counselor Munson.
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz.
Yes.
Motion passed 6-1.
Thank you. Let's jump back into the budget situation. Are there questions or concerns regarding the budget now that we've hammered out whether or not there are going to be 4 positions? No? All right. We have had another motion. We just sort of skirted in and had a motion.
I was probably improper on that.
It was very improper. Can we return to the original motion?
Let me restate it.
Motion, should he restate it? Can we just return to the original motion and
Yeah, let's just vote on the
All right.
numbers.
let's go ahead and have a roll call vote then on the legal department's proposed budget request.
Counselor Wiltz.
Yes.
Counselor Crossley.
Yes.
Counselor Deckard.
Yes.
Counselor Hawk.
No?
Counselor Iverson.
Yes.
Counselor McKim.
Yes.
Counselor Munson.
Yes.
Motion passed 6-1.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a lovely
Have fun
evening.
hiring.
And now we move to item 10 on our agenda, which is the building department with Bobby LaRue, our building commissioner.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 1000-0312, General Fund Building, with the category requests of, in the personnel category, $713,868. In the supplies category, $7,900. In the services category, $38,300, for a total of $760,068.
Second.
Welcome.
Good evening, counselors. I hope you all are doing well this evening. Last year, I kind of ran up here and said I didn't make any changes and left. So I appreciate your understanding of my nervousness last year. Try to do a little better job this year. So when looking at our budget, things hadn't changed for a very long time in our budget. And we had some really kind of odd numbers, like $1,835, which never really made sense to me in a budget the size of Monroe's counties. So, line items here, office supplies, I increased $165 to kind of round that number out. Operational supplies, I'm asking the council this year, I really am very interested in a safety shoe program for the inspectors. A lot of our larger projects now are requesting that we wear all of the safety gear that their project personnel are required to wear. Safety shoes are a big part of that. And so there's an increase for operational supplies of about $1,205. The $5 is to make the number make some sense. And I figure a decent pair of safety shoes is going to cost about $150 to $200 for 7 inspectors. Vehicle repair, we've had that line, reducing that $300, leaving $100 in the line for emergency things like windshield wiper fluid in the wintertime and windshield wipers that tend to fail in freezing conditions. The printing and advertising, requesting an increase there of $625. We have a line item further down for permits. We used to have permits printed and filled out as permits were issued. Now we're moving that money up to printing. We print them in-house on a printer that we purchased to do this. We do buy a nice heavy paper so the permits can last for the duration of the inspection cycle. Fuel costs. This one is really tricky for me. I've heard lots of things about fuel moving forward. We typically, in the last couple of years, have not used the entirety of our fuel budget, but I've also heard that fuel is potentially going to be very expensive in the next year or so, and our department runs on fuel. I mean, we have to have it. Postage we've reduced to $100. We've reduced that steadily the last couple of years. We mail fewer and fewer things. We just want to have some money there for the things that we do have to mail. Talked about permits already. And then code organizations, I'm asking for a $700 increase to the code organization budget. Traditionally, our department has been members of the International Code Council, the Indiana Association of Building Officials, which that membership provides us training benefits by being a member of that organization. And this year I would like to also, our department to also be members of the Builders Association of South Central Indiana. It is a fantastic opportunity for us to reach out to the building community, to hear their concerns, to help share code upgrades, code updates, interpretations, things of that nature. And I really would like the department to be a member of that group. There are a couple things in the budget here, and I asked last year for budgets for books. The state of Indiana was on track to adopt new codes this year, and certain folks didn't like that track, and so now that's all gone. This is one that's very tricky for me because commercial codes, they required a big expenditure one time, but when that happens, I'm unable to foresee. So there are several things in here that are for example, code books. Our training expenses are reduced in part by being part of the Indiana Association of Building Officials, but those benefits are running out now, and we're going to start paying for our attendance in class towards the end of the year. But code books in particular, I won't spend that money very often, but I need it to be there when we have to have it. So that's kind of where I'm at with the budget, and I talk too much all the time, so I'll let you all talk.
We have that problem too.
No idea what you're talking about. The code book thing that you just referenced, is that, right, yes, where the cursor has gone, so code books and pub. Okay, so it's up $20, and you said it's something that comes up. Obviously, it sounds like it's important that you have these, but does it come? How often does it come up? Like annual or
no.
every 10 years?
In my opinion, it's not often enough.
Okay.
But for example, the residential code that Indiana recently adopted was the first residential code in 15 years.
Oh.
Right. Indiana is currently working on with codes that were developed in 2012, and I was very excited. Indiana adopted them in 2014, so those codes are pushing 10 years old. There are lots of reasons that they need to be updated, but when that exactly is going to happen, I don't know. I was at the State Commission hearing today. They are developing the schedule for new code adoption, but what that looks like, I don't know at the moment. I do expect potentially an electric code, again, which I thought we were going to have this year. I expect that next year, and I expect some movement on the building and fire codes sometime soon. I don't know when. Sometime soon might be 2 years. I mean, that seems soon for code development
Yeah.
in Indiana.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I was just curious. Other, Counselor Iverson.
Yeah, I just wanted to voice my support for you becoming part of the local building association. It makes a ton of sense to me. It also, I saw that you gave a presentation recently, and I think that's a feather in the hat of Monroe County to have our folks going out into the community making presentations about all the great work that you're doing commercially, residentially. So that makes a lot of sense to me, and thank you for bringing that forward tonight.
Other comments or questions? Am I right? No? All right. In that case, let's go ahead and have a roll call vote on moving forward with the building department's general fund budget request.
Counselor Crossley?
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz?
Yes.
Counselor Deckard?
Yes.
Counselor Munson?
Yes.
Counselor Hawk?
Yes.
Counselor McKim?
Yes.
Counselor Iverson?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too. We are on item 11 now on our agenda, which is our technical services department. Excuse me.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 1000-0106, General Fund TSD, with the category requests of, in the personnel category, $226,205. In the supplies category, $11,700. In the services category, $300,000, for a total of $537,905.
Second.
Welcome, Mr. Cron.
Good evening, Council. I think you'll notice our budget for this line is actually a reflection of a $100,000 decrease. As promised, when I sat here last year, we were going to find ways to cut some costs while maintaining the level of service, providing a greater level of service than we've had. So a lot of this was representative of the hard work by Ms. Goss here, who is my office manager, takes care of our phone systems and our accounts payable. We went through AT&T phone lines, line by line, phone by phone, found old lines that we've been paying for years that were no longer in use, things of that nature. By the time we got done making those corrections and then AT&T did some plan changes with us, we actually ended up with almost $53,000 in credit. So our expenditure this year has dropped because we're still operating off the credit. I still hedge to cut that number any lower than I already have because we're still dealing with those changes and adjustments through AT&T. I'm not 100% sure of what to expect this coming year. So rather than cut it any more, I found what I cut was adequate, and we'd see what would happen in 25 then.
All right. Do we have questions or comments on this budget?
I'll just say, Monroe County government could not work without you folks. I appreciate you
Thank you, appreciate that.
very much.
You know, that kind of detailed auditing work is essential, and it pays off. That's fantastic. Just money that would otherwise would have been totally wasted or put in AT&T's pockets.
Well, we'd actually been spending more because some of those lines, they were going to increase the cost of those lines dramatically. So we would have been paying a couple $100,000 in service that we didn't need.
Wow.
We've also, we've reduced in other places too in line funds outside of this, but this is just representative of my fund where we've been able to make some cuts.
All right. Counselor Iverson.
I don't think it's escaped very many people that one of our staff's duties is to tell people to speak more loudly into the microphone. So what can we do to deprive them of that job? How are we working on these? What's the update on the microphones?
Okay, the updates on the microphones. I've actually got wireless microphones coming in. These lines have been discontinued by the manufacturer. The other thing we're looking at doing, which Ms. Shell is wearing one right now, is the lapel mics. They work very well. We're trying to find a system that will work with 10 or more of the transmitters for one receiver. That's taken some work to do, so I'm actually talking with Shure, the manufacturer of the microphones, to see what we can come up with. But best solution for folks in your situation, especially when you're having to talk back and forth across your board, is the lapel mics, because that always keeps that mic at the corner of your mouth and not over here, where things stop to pick up. So, but I've been dealing with Sweetwater out of Fort Wayne. He's our local distributor for that equipment. So trying to get that in as quickly as possible.
Just on behalf of everyone that's ever been back there trying to follow what we're doing up here, thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Indeed. Any other comments or questions for the TSD folks? Oh, well, thank you for what you do, because to Councilor Hawk's point, you kind of make it run, and we
I
appreciate
appreciate it. And I've got a great staff behind me, and I couldn't do this without them, because I definitely can't do it all by myself. That is for sure.
You do. I know. I've called them a couple times, so they're very, very responsive, and I appreciate that. If there are no more comments or questions, could we have a roll call vote on moving forward with the Technical Services Department's General Fund 2024 budget request?
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes?
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
We appreciate it.
Thank
Have a good
you.
evening.
And
Oh,
our
we do have another, don't we
got
have the
one
public
more.
safety one that's TSD also?
One more.
You got one more.
Look at that. It's broken over the page, and I'm sorry, I totally missed it too. Go right ahead. Yeah.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 1170-0106, Public Safety Lit TSD, with a category request of, in the services category, $90,000 for a total of $90,000.
Second.
Okay. Yeah, second budget.
Okay, so this line pays for our Sheriff's Department phones with the hoisted voice service, their landlines. It also pays for their first responder net cell phones, as well as the cradle point access points that each of the patrol deputies have in their patrol cars to access network. We are going to see a little bit of increase with that. There's a software front end that goes with those cradle points. We know the cost is going to come up in that. So that is why they're showing a $10,000 increase over last year's request.
Okay, are there questions or comments? Counselor McKim.
I guess I mean, I certainly, of course, don't have any problem with the expense itself. This may be one of the lines that I might be inclined to move at some point to cable franchise fees. I'm not going to do it right now, but we'll kind of see at the end where we are. But this might be one of the kinds of things that could be paid out of that fund instead.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think it would make any difference to you, would it?
It doesn't, as long as the bills get paid, I'm happy.
Okay. I'm just going to put an asterisk by it.
Yeah,
That's
that
something we
does
might
make
come back
a
to.
lot of sense, because we have other public safety things we could shuffle as well. Counselor Hawk?
Right, and I think we just have to be on the lookout of anything that could be moved over to a QM cap, because that's a rate control fund, and that rate times a much higher assessed value, they're going to have a lot more money sitting there. So for anything that can be moved, and I know they would welcome us to do that. I see somebody laughing.
It was a couple $100,000 more, not that much more. But.
But nothing in this budget would, I mean, we couldn't do QM cap for
I
this
mean,
one.
yeah, this is the.
Yeah, okay. That doesn't, well, okay, that doesn't make sense though, okay. Anyone down this way with questions? Okay. In that case, may I have a roll call vote on moving forward with the Technical Services Department's Public Safety Lit Fund?
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor Munson.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
All right, thank you.
Now, good night.
Y'all have a
I'd be like, now you can leave, so.
And now we can move to item 12, which is our Emergency Management Department.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 1000-0361, General Fund Emergency Management, with the category requests of, in the personnel category, $164,984, in the supplies category, $6,600, in the services category, $64,766, for a total of $236,350.
Second.
And welcome, Jamie Nibel. Is it Nibel? Am I saying that right? Or
It's Nebel, but
Nebel.
I will answer to either one.
I apologize. Make myself a note. Welcome.
Thank you.
Do you have anything you want to point out and discuss for us? Okay.
I do.
Okay.
If it pleases you, I'd like to start at the top.
Okay.
There's EM Heavy Equipment Services and EM Structure Engineering Services. If you recall, earlier this year, we had letters of agreement that we secured with a firm for structural engineering services and for with Sunbelt. Just, in the case of an emergency, we can adjust those numbers because I feel like they're just placeholders right now. So if that helps with this process, we can feel free to decrease those numbers to whatever is feasible. To $500 would even be okay. Having gone through the tornado and having used that heavy equipment line item and just coming to you all for the appropriation works perfectly well, and I'm satisfied with that process. So I'm perfectly willing to continue that moving forward so we can reduce that, and I will just come to you if that situation should arise. Perfectly comfortable with that if you all are as well. Moving down, everything else in the budget has stayed the same. There is an increase in the radio and CD sirens line item of $13,130. The maintenance contract with ERS is increased, and there is a software annual contract for Federal Signal. All of this has to do with siren maintenance. Also, working with TSD, we're looking at something called a plum case. During the after-action review from the tornado, it was really difficult to set up sites for the Red Cross to come in or for FEMA to come in and be able to get the connectivity that they needed on, in a relatively short time frame with what we had at our fingertips. So with this plum case, we would be able to do that in a very short time frame because it would be living in our house in TSD.
And that's part of that same line?
Yes, the radio and CD siren line. And then, of course, about $5,280 to facilitate more repairs to sirens as they are aging, although we are in the middle of a 7-year phase project for replacement, along with ham radio setup and CAP ready op installation.
Okay. Thank you. And I can see that you already have a question, Counselor McKim.
I kind of
Thanks.
thought so.
Yes, I had also had some thoughts about the emergency structural engineering and heavy equipment services. It definitely makes sense to have those available. I wonder, so you just suggested we could essentially reduce it down to $500 just to keep the lines active.
Yeah.
And then if you actually needed to have an appropriation, that seems perfectly good to me. I thought another solution would be to do an appropriation in a rainy day. But if really all you need is to keep the line active, then
That would be
we might as well
sufficient.
just
I feel like there's a better way that we could do this, but I just don't know what that way is. So until then, this will work.
Okay, so I would then move to set lines 35051 and 35052 to $500 each.
Second.
Only one other change that you'll see is program supplies, just $900 for Salamander Technology.
What is that for?
So it's for asset tracking.
Oh, okay. I'm wondering about the radio and sirens fitting in cable
Can we
frames.
vote on the EM?
Oh, we can't, okay, yeah, sure, go ahead, let's do it. I mean, may I have a roll call vote, please?
This is on the amendment to reduce lines 35051 and 35052 to $500
each.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you for keeping us on track.
Madam President, I have a question. Which of these lines, or is it so that you yet, like, it used to be almost a 50-50 reimbursement? Does that still work?
Oh, for the salary reimbursement. That's for our salaries.
So we want to make sure that we don't do something that would reduce the amount of reimbursement we get.
Right.
Just saying.
We're not going to cut their salaries.
Let's not do that.
Yeah, just wanted.
No, that's a good point. Counselor Deckard.
I was just going to make the comment, I have the fortune to serve on the EMAC and be your liaison. And just for the public watching and just for any sense, what we're doing now with this emergency management budget is money management issues so that we can do what we need. If something occurs, and I'll say this to you, but I think you know that, if something occurs or we need to be doing something as a county to respond to whatever, that then is an emergency management, and that's your wheelhouse. So we're managing money today to support whatever you might need tomorrow. I don't want anyone in the county to ever believe that the county will not fully do whatever it needs to do to respond, support, protect as best we can in those awful situations, because they really are awful. So what we're doing today is important, but I always want to say that because I just have a sneaky suspicion your department down the road and your successors down the road are going to manage a lot of cumbersome things, unfortunately. We want you to know that you can do that and have the support here. So just want to always say that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, Counselor Iverson.
Yeah, the citizen alert, the texting that goes through, that's in this budget as well, or is that in a separate budget?
I believe that's in TSD's budget.
That's in TSD's budget? Oh, it's in Commissioner's budget. It's in QM. Okay,
Sorry.
Great, thanks.
Other questions or comments? I was just wondering if it's not on the screen anymore, but if you could scroll down just a few lines. Thank you. If the radio and CD sirens is a candidate for the cable franchise, I mean, just as a possibility.
We could. I wrote that down too.
Oh,
It's
okay, good.
whenever at the-
All right, so we'll just keep that in mind. But that's, every little bit helps. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. I am going to call for a roll call vote on moving forward with the Emergency Management's General Fund request.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Munson.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you. And we have a second budget to go over with you.
We do. So this is the 1152 Emergency Planning Right to Know. It's for the Local Emergency Planning Committee. all of the funds that are within this budget come from the SARA Tier 2 reporting, which is any industry that uses, manages, houses, stores, has anything to do with hazardous materials, pays a fee to report these, and it's all logged into a database, and those fees for the county come directly here. So it's behaves similar to a grant, but it's not exactly a grant.
I have not.
Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped the gun. That's okay. Sorry.
I'll give you a motion to cover what you're saying. Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 11520000, Emergency Management Right to Know, with the category requests of, in the supplies category, $100. In the services category, $5,450. In the capital category, $10,500, for a total of $16,050.
Second.
And do we have any questions on this budget or comments, of course? All right, seeing none, could I have a roll call vote on moving forward with Emergency Management's Right to Know Fund 2024 budget request?
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you, Ms. Nebel.
Have a good night.
And now we can move to item 13, which is our Highway Department.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 11350000, Cumulative Bridge, with the category requests of, in the personnel category, $405,058. In the supplies category, $427,500. In the services category, $746,479. And in the capital category, $470,000, for a total of $2,049,037.
Second.
Welcome, Ms. Ridge, Mr. Turner.
Hello.
Good
Hello.
I'll answer any questions that you have. I know you don't want me to go through line by line on my budgets. We kept the salaries with no increases. The employees, we increased insurance, FICA perf as directed. We might have increased a couple lines and we would put notes next to them for things that we might have a license increase for software, places where we made additionals throughout the year to make up for those adjustments. And then the vehicle purchase is a tandem and a single dump truck in capital. Again, I'm happy to answer any questions if you have a question on a certain item.
Are there questions or concerns or comments? Words of wisdom?
I can always use that.
We could too.
No comments on this one. And this one is Cume Bridge. Okay. I don't have any questions on that one either. So could we have a roll call vote on moving forward with the Highway Department's Cumulative Bridge Fund budget request?
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Go right ahead.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 11690000, Local Road and Street, with the category requests of, in the supplies category, $620,000. In the services category, $200,000. In the capital category, $200,000, for a total of $1,020,000.
Second.
Again, if you have any questions, no change in our salt line or bituminous. our master thoroughfare, we use that for our studies, and actually, we put in 100,000 in that line. We're doing a joint study with the city of Bloomington eventually. It's a transportation study that we're required to do every so often. I believe it's the 2050 transportation plan, and we have done a mutual agreement with them through the MPO in the past, and they have allocated 100,000 towards that study for an update. The last time it was done in-house by MPO staff, probably at a lower magnitude than hiring it out. So we would like to have a more in-depth study, so that's why that increased to the 100,000. The equipment is to replace a lift that we have in our garage. We talked about it a couple years ago when we got some portable lifts at a smaller cost of about 50 grand. And this is to replace the permanent lift that we use to raise our dump trucks or our equipment in the air to work on underneath them.
Okay. All right. Are there any questions for this budget? Oh, okay. Then may I have a roll call vote, please, on moving forward with the Highway Department's local road and street fund budget request?
Counselor Crossley?
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz?
Yes.
Counselor Hawk?
Yes.
Counselor Iverson?
Yes.
Counselor Deckard?
Yes.
Counselor Munson?
Yes.
Counselor McKim?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
And now we're on to the next one.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 11710000 County Major Bridge with a category request of, in the services category, $1,800,001 for a total of $1,800,001.
Second.
All right, there you go. This appears to be less than previous.
So we have two projects out of there at this time. We're in the process of using the major bridge fund to bond our Fullerton Pike Phase 3 project because it has a bridge that exceeds the limits, which is 200 feet, and it's a 535-foot bridge. So that's why we put the dollar disbursement to the bank, because we're not sure what that first disbursement will be, and left the rest remaining into the cash in case we need to move it into the grant fund also to help with our match.
Okay, sounds good. Any questions? Yes.
And just so the $1 keeps the line alive.
It keeps it active so we can see it.
Explanation as to why we have this weird number.
Yeah.
Yes. Any other questions or comments?
I'm sorry, can you give us a quick rundown on Fullerton Pike Phase 3 status, like relevant dates? Everybody's
Certainly.
very excited about that.
Some are, yes. Utilities are actually moving at this time. We wanted to get the utilities in there before the project went to letting. Some projects we've ran into in the past where we go to letting and then we're still waiting on utilities. So we wanted to kind of be ahead of the game. I'm still working with NDOT to increase funding in that project. So I'm still on that bandwagon to beg for more funds for this expensive project. It does go to letting in January. We've moved some lettings around recently. I believe we moved that to a January letting. It'll go to construction, then should typically start after April 1st. That's when the contractor will get in there and start the project. It'll take approximately 18 to 24 months for completion. They will start on the west end at I-69 and move their way east. I did send out an email today, so if anybody is interested, we are going to have like an email listserv so that we can provide updates. We can have an email, one location where people can address their concerns. They can write in their questions. They can be notified of any updates, any changes, any schedule changes along as we go through the project. So I'm actually, if you want to be added to that list moving forward for updates, I'm happy to send the company that does our construction inspection to add you all to that list for constant updates as we move forward.
Great, thank you.
Probably be pretty brief in the beginning just because it's utilities, but once we get a contractor and get dates, then we can move forward with that.
And so is that January 1st, or the January letting, is that just for the bridge, or is it, what about?
It's for the whole project.
For the whole, okay.
It's one project.
So the contractor will be bidding on the
The
entire,
contractor will be bidding on.
including the roundabout and everything?
Correct.
Okay,
Mhm.
cool.
We had considered splitting it due to funding, but we kind of went backwards and we're going to do the whole project at the same time.
Nice. Counselor Iverson?
Yeah, I would love to be added to that email list. As you know, I've been getting phone calls, and sometimes I just don't know where to, send those off, and so that'd be helpful to have that information.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions? I do enjoy the updates too, actually. It's
Yeah,
kinda
we did
cool.
it for our old 37 North project, and we had a lot of people sign up for that, and it's worked really well to have just one communication hub. And then if they have concerns, then we can act upon that concern, and it's not going through a bunch of different channels. Do I go through the council? Do I go through Lisa? Do I go
Right.
to the contractor?
Yeah.
And the contractor is actually hired, of course, by NDOT, so it's kind of a little bit confusing for the public. But if we can have one central location, it really helped on this communication for this project. So
Sounds good to me.
Thank you. Could I please have a roll call vote on moving forward with the Highway Department's County Major Bridge Fund? That's right. For the budget request for 2024.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
13D.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 11760000 Motor Vehicle Highway with the category requests of, in the personnel category, $3,655,237. In the supplies category, $2,793,300. In the services category, $1,416,700. In the capital category, $12,003, for a total of $7,877,240.
Second.
Do you have any things you want to tell us about for this one?
So yeah, this is probably one we will probably have a little bit more discussion on. As far as personnel, the only thing that is included in there is step pay increases for anniversary dates. That was the only increase. Just trying to look and see if anything else sticks out here. We did increase our bituminous line by $1 million and put our budget over by $1 million of the estimated revenue. We like to draw attention that the money that you have gave us this year and last year for 2024 or 2023 tremendously helped. The $1 million that you gave from the rainy day, the ARPA funds, we couldn't have got done this year what we have completed. I think we'll end up at 56 miles of complete roads paved, not paver patched, completely drainage, ditching, everything to make that complete. I think last year it was 24 miles. So it doubled the work we were able to get done. So we will probably continuously ask for assistance in that area. We would always put it towards that bituminous line. We heavily support any raises that you want to give to county personnel. We would like to retain all of our employees that we have. It's really hard in this market, especially with the CDL license changes. It's really hard to get applicants anymore, especially with that requirement. But I know there's many numbers being thrown around, 6%, 8.5%. We will make it work to keep our employees. I know it would come from the paving line because that's the only place, but we would also stretch those dollars as far as we can. I don't think we had anything else. We increased the stone line just because we had an additional in there earlier in the year. So we basically look at all of our lines, look at our overall budget, and whatever's remaining, we put it into our bituminous line. Our employees come first, and then we look at all of our categories and then finish our budget. Again, we put the extra $1 million, so we're $1 million over estimated revenue. So definitely want to make that adjustment before it's sent to the State Board of Accounts. And happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions to my left? Councilor Deckard?
I had a quick question. All the paving that has occurred in the last year or so, you'd have to have your eyes closed not to see it all happening. My question to you is, can you, and you may need to get back to me on this if you have it at all, can you tell me a year where we did this much paving in your memory?
None.
So we've kind of hit a record, at least as far as we all know, right?
As far as the 36 years I've been here, I have never seen 56 miles completely paved. I've seen paver patching, but not from beginning to end of fixing the drainage, replacing the culverts. And that goes to all of our crews that's done this. It's our stormwater crews, it's our bridge crews, and it's our highway crews that have all come together to make that work, to get that 56 miles done. We do some in-house and we hire some out just so we can get more done.
Okay.
All those roads are prepped in-house. Now, some of the paving situations we contract out. We just can't do it all and be good at it all. But those guys are professionals. They do it every day. They can do it faster than us. So yeah, we do some in-house, but we're subbing more of that out so we can get those roads prepped, get the pipes replaced, get the ditches cut, get it seeded back. And it seems to be working well. I know that extra $1 million that we was fortunate to get last year was able to cover that CCMG match, and that turned into $2 million worth of paving projects, about 17, 18 miles.
And it's our goal to apply for the CCMG. So if we do that now in the January call, so it can set us up for where we're at for the remainder of the year. But once we do that CCMG call and we get that full $1 million, our bituminous line is gone because that's our match.
And we're locked into those projects that we applied for. So if we'll start putting that together in November, December, those projects get submitted. And those are the projects that we're locked in for that $2 million, or it could be our whole bituminous line. So if something happens throughout the winter, a road gets in bad shape, a couple roads gets in bad shape, we're still leveraged against that CCMG project, whatever we came up with. And it kind of rat holes us pretty good since it's our whole budget.
But you can't pass it up.
Right. Councilor Hawk?
So it's been a while since we discussed the fact that we've got almost double budgeted again for the bituminous like we did last year. So at some point we have to decide, do we take some of this out of that rainy day? Because we don't dare pass up the opportunity to get that match dollars from the state. That would just not be reasonable. But on the other hand, we cannot leave them without any patching dollars. I mean, I'll turn my phone, I'll put mine on call forward to you guys, because when those potholes come out in the county, they're going to call. And so
it all
they're not
comes
going
out
to
the
have
same
the
line.
dollars left to patch the potholes and do all of that and to capture the money from the state. And if I'm overstating the situation, tell me.
No, you're correct. If pothole patching and bituminous and paving, that all comes out of that one bituminous line. We try and do crack sealing, which is a very good preventative maintenance. We're trying to use our infrastructure line for that. That's $200,000 we have allocated there. That's money we could have used for more paving, but you have to try and do preventive maintenance, you know, a year or two after a road is paved, again, to make it last longer. So we stretch it as far as we can. It's just, that's where we're at. And we have used all of the budgets that we can for paving. We use Cume Bridge. If we're doing any culverts or bridges, we can use it for approaches. We document that. We use local road and street now for some of that paving. Most of the funds right now are tied up in local road and street for making my match out of the cash into getting Sample Road, Hunters Creek Road, those projects closed out. Eventually, I hope to see more funds in local road and street. But for us 2024, I can't commit more to in that budget at this point until those projects are closed.
For the community crossings grant, is the most that you most that you can ask for that 1 million, 2 million with the 1 million match?
Yeah, you can
essentially.
you can only be awarded $1 million. You can break it up into 2 calls, but we don't find that very beneficial because you're not sure of what's going to happen. And then when you do that July call, you're not getting awarded it until October. Then you're into that next year.
Yeah.
So we have found it more beneficial if we do it in that January call and we know what we're dealing with the year coming up. But again, it's just too good of a program to pass up. But you know, if you can get $2 million for just us paying $1 million, you know, it's a win-win. And Monroe County is very fortunate that we've been awarded every year since 2016. And we had a couple bridges in there, but now we have just strictly used those funds for paving now, or that grant if awarded.
Wow. Yeah. Yes, Councilor Crossley.
I was just gonna say, one quick question. You said this before. How many is it 728 miles total in the county?
It fluctuated a little bit. We vacated Tower Ridge Road, was like a 5-mile gravel road. Then we've taken a couple roads in, so I'm gonna say around 720 at this point.
Okay. And then the other thing that I would just do is just to make a comment. It's very passionate. It seems it's very obvious that you're very passionate about a lot of different things related to trying to figure out a lot of these things. So I just wanted to just give you kudos to all the work that you do and how you are always trying to finesse and make things work. And yeah, so it's a lot to deal with, I'm sure. And just looking at your budget, it just seems very streamlined. So I appreciate that. But I just also just wanted to say, like, I appreciate you and thank you for all that you do with everything.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It takes a team for the whole department, from me to every truck driver, every employee that we have, Stormwater, Cume Bridge, the staff in the office. We all work really well together. We put our heads together. It's mainly Toby and I doing the budgets and where we can stretch the dollars at, but it's come a long way. But again, we couldn't do what we've done without your assistance and your support and the commissioner's support. You guys are the ones going to get the calls, and we wish we could pave more. There's a whole list out there. I think I just put a list together a week and a half ago that doesn't even, you know, we have rural roads, but we have a lot of subdivisions that require a lot of drainage improvements, ADA improvements. And I think that list of subdivisions came out to an estimate of, and we put the list together from a lot of complaints, a lot of requests. I think that estimate came out to about $6.7 million to be able to even try and address those areas. Subdivisions are really a hard one for us because you do have the curb and guttering, you do have the inlets, you do have the ADA ramps. It's not as easy as going out and paving Howard Road. There's a lot more to it, and it takes a lot of money to fix those. As you see, when you approved 1.4 million for or 1.2 for ARPA, I think we had 6 subdivisions in there. Those didn't require a whole lot of ADA and everything, but we figured that's what we could afford. And we got them all done, but Marlin Hills, and that we're just doing a little bit more drainage improvements in there. But all the money that was allocated for paving for those other 5 subdivisions have been completed.
Wow. Councilor Iverson?
I think this is one of your only budgets, I know we're about halfway through your budgets, where you indicated a price increase due to inflation, particularly on paving, striping, and pavement markings. Can you talk more about how price increases have impacted particularly the operational side of what you do, not the personnel side?
So we contract that out. We do bids in the spring or in the, say, December. We just now had the stripers there in the last month, and that was to stripe what was last year because they had no materials. So we did not even receive any bids when we put out the bids for striping. So we had to do it as a quote and on call, and we're just doing what we can to stretch that fund line to get what we can get done. But some of that is left over from 2022 because there was no materials available.
Like, is a supply chain issue, or just demand was so high?
No paint. There was no paint. And no thermo.
That's wild. I mean,
Or they weren't gonna pay what it cost because they knew we couldn't pay that for it too.
Sure.
You know, that could be the issue as well.
Sure. All right.
As far as asphalt material, that's just gonna follow oil and gas, so when that stuff goes up, asphalt material's gonna go up.
Yep.
It just never went down.
All right, thanks.
Councilor Hogg?
Yes, can you tell me, are you still working on your summer hours?
That just changed after Labor Day. We typically do that around the first week of May, and then we end it around Labor Day. We kind of base that basically on sunrise, and then that's when we make the adjustment. And so we are in fall hours, what we consider fall hours now, Monday through Friday, 7 to 3 for the highway crews.
And if you could explain to the public why that's a benefit to the public?
It's a benefit. It takes, especially when we do in-house paving, it takes everybody we have to do a road, from the trucks to the roller to the paver, running the screws on the back of the paver. So it takes everybody. Sometimes you need that longer day if you're to where you might not want to stop to finish that paving. So it gives us longer daylight hours to be able to get more done in that day and maybe not have a road closed an extra day. It seems to work really well for us. We've done it for a few years now. Just having, like I said, just those longer days.
Thanks.
You get all that equipment out and get everybody going, you hate to stop.
I mean, you always make sure now what's the best way you treat it, though it is as though it is your very own money. In other words, if you can get a project done on one side of the county and you can get the asphalt delivered quicker by some other company there than on the other side of the county, you work all ends to make sure you're doing the right job for the people. And so many times they don't realize that because all they can see is the pothole in front of their house.
Yeah.
So I remind them to be patient. It'll be their turn.
If their road's really bad, we probably know it, and it's on our radar. But we can only stretch it so far.
You do what you can.
Call the question on the vote.
I have a question. This just a quick one. I realize there are a lot of factors that would affect this, but on average, once you've paved a road, how long until that road desperately needs repaving?
That's going to depend on a lot of factors.
I know.
I mean, you're going to have winter weather, traffic counts.
Truck traffic.
If we do any preventive maintenance before it wears out.
Well, you are. Let's just say you are.
Not on every one of them. Again, you can only stretch it so far. We probably choose the ones that, depending on when they were paved, I think we had a big list this time for crack sealing that we bid out. So yeah, and we might not even have a road that we say in the winter, we don't think it's too bad. And we might just need to go paver patch that. If we have a bad winter and our plows tear it up, that might have to be an emergency that has to go on our list. So it
it's
can
just all over.
fluctuate. And a lot of it depends on weather. I mean, the water is a killer for us. That's why we do the prepping. That's why we do the culverts. That's why we do the ditching. And that's what makes your road last longer.
Are the roads you're doing now lasting longer than they maybe were?
I'm a firm believer of that. I think
We're putting a little bigger cross-section of asphalt down than maybe has been done in the past too. We're trying to put maybe a 3/4 inch wedge coat on there, and then another top coat of 1.5 inches. So you're probably seeing a little more material put down, which I feel is going to, I'm hoping it's a 15-year job before we have to go out and do a lot of, before we're getting a lot of patching calls on it. That's kind of my hope. But there's some of those roads that are so bad that you look at it and you go, oh, this thing just needs grinded up and started over. And there's just no way we could do that, or we'd pave 5 or 6 miles a year. So sometimes you feel like it's a Band-Aid, but it's a pretty good Band-Aid.
Okay. Thank you for answering all the questions. If there are no more, I will go ahead and ask for a roll call vote on moving forward with the Highway Department's Motor Vehicle Highway Fund budget request.
Counselor Iverson?
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz?
Yes.
Counselor McKim?
Yes.
Counselor Hawk?
Yes.
Counselor Munson? Not present. Counselor Crossley?
Yes. Yes.
Counselor Deckard?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 49200000 Westside Economic TIF with a category request of, in the services category, $2,213,924 for a total of the exact same amount.
Second.
All right.
Again, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. We just have the funds split out for engineering and construction, the STEM payment to RBB that the RDC supports.
Okay, are there any questions or comments on this one?
I'll hold off. I'll talk to you later.
I remember seeing a 4B. I don't see the 4B on this. Is this the one where they looked like they were short? I'm sorry. I've looked at so many of them.
No, we have our estimated revenue is $2,213,924.
Well, that seems pretty right on then. Okay. If there aren't any other questions, we'll go ahead and have a roll call vote on moving forward the West Side Economic TIF Fund budget request.
Counselor Munson?
Yes.
Counselor Iverson?
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz?
Yes.
Counselor Deckard?
Yes.
Counselor McKim?
Yes.
Counselor Hawk?
Yes.
Counselor Crossley?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Go ahead.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 49210000 46 Corridor Economic TIF with a category request of, in the services category, $266,744 for a total of the same.
Second.
This one's pretty self-explanatory. We just split the funds into the annual review and engineering and construction, and then the disbursement to the bank just to keep that line active.
Any questions on this budget? Seeing none, I will ask for a roll call vote on moving forward with the 46 Corridor Economic TIF Fund.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor McKim.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 4922-0000 Fullerton Pike Economic TIF with the category request of, in the services category, $138,101 in a total of the same.
Second.
All right. Are there questions about this particular budget? Seeing none, then we'll go ahead and have a roll call vote on the Fullerton Pike Economic TIF Fund budget request.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Council, I move to open for, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 4934-0000 Curry Profile TIF with the category requests of, in the services category, $244,655 and a total of the same.
Second.
Okay. I'm looking at the thing on the screen, and it doesn't say the same amount. Am I just crazy right now?
Let's see.
You're right, it does not.
No, let me check and see what happened.
If I need to amend that to that amount.
I was just going to ask a question.
Bree. This is that Curry profile pot. Okay, all right, I just want to make sure you're. What we put in, I just want to make sure that the amount that is correct because you made those adjustments in DLGF, so is that the correct amount? Sorry, so the amount on the screen, the 201,515 is correct, sorry.
I'm going to amend my previous motion to read essentially in the same line, Curry Profile TIF Fund 4934-0000. It's a category request of $201,515 in the services category and a total of the exact same amount.
Yeah, second.
Thank you. Are there questions on this fund? Yes, Counselor McKim.
Yes, I just wanted to know what is the status of this TIF? I know that the projects were kind of on pause for a while.
To my knowledge, everything's kind of on hold right now. They hope to eventually start it back up, but no date.
Okay, they being Cook.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah. Let's go ahead and have a roll call vote on moving forward with the Highway Department's Curry Profile TIF Fund budget request.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 1197-0000 Stormwater Management with the category requests of, in the personnel category, $915,883. In the supplies category, $198,500. In the services category, $1,142,976. In the capital category, $218,500, and a total of $2,475,859.
Second.
All righty then. Stormwater.
So the only increases in employees' wages is just the step pay increases for anniversary dates. We did not make a lot of changes. We increased fleet maintenance just because of repairs for equipment.
Wow.
Down at the bottom. We put in a single axle dump truck for $215,000 in capital. We can see if anything else stood out. We didn't appropriate as much in Baby Creek. We're trying to do, we're getting ready to bid one of those next culverts out to see where we come in at. So we're just working on that. The STIP and Moores Creek project, I think I still have submitted it into your information as a ARPA option. They are both ready to have tree removal this fall. So they are ready to go out to bid and be constructed. So we put, if we pay for it just in stormwater, we will probably do Moores Creek first and then do Stip Road the next year. Both roads will have to be paved completely outside of the project limits just because we've held off for this project. But yeah, we will probably do tree clearing this fall and trying to move to the next step on that project.
All right. Questions on this budget?
What's the latest date you can cut down a tree?
Pardon me?
The latest date, you know, because of the bats?
It can be from November 1st to March 31st is the clearing window. And I do want to add, in this budget also, whatever you support for employee COLA, this budget will support that also.
Questions? Comments?
No questions.
I would just like to comment that if and when, if it should happen, that the annexation would go through, the revenue coming into this fund will be reduced because it only comes from those properties that sit outside of the city or outside of Ellisville. So that would greatly reduce the revenue for this fund.
Indeed. There are not any questions. Then we will go ahead and have a roll call vote on moving forward with the Stormwater Management Fund budget request.
Counselor Hawk?
Yes.
Counselor Munson?
Yes.
Counselor Iverson?
Yes.
Counselor Crossley? Yes. Counselor McKim?
Yes.
Counselor Deckard?
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last year I had to come back when we did discussion outside of MBH for paving funds. Since we're $1 million over in the MBH, do I need to come back at a later time or do you just want to contact me? I know it'll have to be adjusted before it goes into State Board of Accounts or they'll adjust it.
We just
Not
do
trying
it
to put
in
you on the
rainy
spot.
day.
I just didn't want it to be overlooked.
Yeah.
I think we just adjusted it toward the end and we put it in rainy day and reduced it from here. Is that what we did?
Well, we definitely put it in rainy day because I think we still have an appropriation in rainy day from before.
So-
I know you said you were going to
Correct.
spend.
So we don't really need to have you come back
I just wanted to make sure.
unless we get in touch.
I will wait to see if I hear.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Oh boy, now we are on item 14, our Board of Commissioners.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 1000-0068 General Fund Commissioners with the category requests of, in the personnel category, $687,717. In the supplies category, $5,250. In the services category, $3,391,248 for a total of $4,084,215.
Second.
Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
And welcome to you again, Ms. Birdie. You just keep showing up.
Yeah, so I want to make a correction because I had sent an email requesting a reduction in a line that I did that without talking to the commissioners, and they are very concerned about that reduction, and so they would prefer to leave it as it was submitted. So I just wanted to let you know.
Which line is that?
That's the professional services line, 30013.
Just a second, okay.
It's on that second, it's on the second page of the hard copy. And that was based
So you want to leave it at
100,000.
100, yeah, got it. Okay. All right.
Do you want me to give you some highlights of this particular fund?
Yeah, that would be lovely.
Sure. This budget obviously provides for the operation of the Commissioner's Office, which is generally oversees all of our, what we like to refer to as our civil buildings. Also addresses the personnel expenses associated with Soil and Water Conservation District and a little bit of their supplies, needed supply money. This budget is also subject to, it provides a tax rate for our community intellectual disability and the community mental health centers as per Indiana code. It also provides the financial assistance to our Bloomington Economic Development Commission, HealthNet, 4-H, and a number of Veterans Affairs. And this also is where we have our match money for rural transit, which brings up, I just want to remind you guys that bus services for our county is a concern because Area 10 cannot service the area that they actually exist within. In Monroe County, they actually have other counties that they deal with. And I believe that the city of Bloomington just expanded, the council allowed for the expansion of the BT to go outside the city limits. They had previously had a restriction on that they could only stay within the city limits. And so we don't know what kind of costs that's going to incur. So if you ask me any questions, I don't have any answers. Sorry about that. But I want to just at least make sure it was on your radar because it is going to be something that I think that the county will have to work with. I would also presume Ellisville, the Ellisville Town Council will have to be looking at the costs that they're going to be, that they should incur over for that project. And so this is the one that also, this fund also has, pays for you guys' bonds and our liability insurance, which is a significant amount. So the mental health and community intellectual, those are established at the growth quotient. And then I think it is, I never remember, let's see here. Mental health is actually a number that they provide, that DLGF provides to us.
Okay, there's a lot in there.
Yeah, there is.
Well, and I would point out that the mental health, according to DLGF, they've increased it by close to 10%. when you look at those numbers that are in there. It's not a 4% increase that we've got. So, yeah, the state is telling us to, I'm sorry, yes. Oh, I'm sorry, I was basing it on the 2022. I looked at the wrong number. Sorry, it's over, yeah. It's more than the 4% though, I think. But I also want to just, this is not a request to change anything about the developmental disabilities for Stone Belt, but I know personally that Stone Belt and Life Designs cannot staff. They're the people that they are supposed to service because they don't have the salaries to do it. And so if you have any extra generosity in your soul, I would love to see an increase in that line. But this is what we're asking for at this point based upon the 4%.
I will tell you that you can increase that amount. I think that there's like a significant amount that you can, the state gives us a total that we cannot exceed for those two programs. So in the past, we've just always used the gross quotient, but you do certainly have some flexibility.
Okay, Councilor McKim.
Actually, I would just say in the past, we left them flat. A few years ago, this council, we passed a resolution essentially saying that they get the growth quotient every year. But before that, it was flat for decades, as far as I can tell.
Mm-hmm. Councilor Iverson?
Yes, I was, goodness, excuse me. Can you tell me what a conservation resource specialist does?
No. Actually, that's true. I really can't tell you what they do. That is a new position that is being requested in the Soil and Water Conservation District. And it's been a while since I actually looked at the job description that we were working on. I do know that one part of the job, so let me back up a little bit. The state, let me back up even more, so the brain. Our stormwater is at S4? Is that what they're?
MS4.
MS4. Our MS4 stormwater, they are unable to review plans for property that's owned by Monroe County. They can't review them for Monroe County. They can't review them for the hospital or the universities. And so the state had thought it would be a really good idea for soil and water conservation districts to do that work, to review these plans. I don't think they told the state, the soil and water conservation districts that, because when we met with them, and I talked about that, the two people that were there seemed a little surprised by that information. And they didn't have the capability of doing the review for those plans. Our MS4 was telling me they would just send them back. So then they had to go to the state for actual review. So what this position will be able to do the reviews, because they won't be an employee underneath Monroe County. They are a Monroe County government employee, but they're actually working and supervised under the authority of the board, the Soil and Water Conservation District Board, which is a state-established board. It's a little bit of a murky relationship.
Okay, and so this hasn't been to PAC yet, and WIS has not classified this.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so this was just my, I kind of based it on the factors that I've seen and anticipate coming through, looking at other kind of similar jobs as are.
Please.
I just wanted to remind council that this is related to the grant-funded position that we've had for 3 years. We, being the Soil and Water Conservation District, had a grant funding a position, and that 3-year time is quickly coming to an end. So this would be continuing work that is already being done in addition to increasing capacity, apparently, for.
I think they're getting another grant person. That was my understanding, is that they're getting that they were looking for another grant person. I may be
They're applying
misspeaking.
for another grant?
I thought they were actually looking to hire somebody, but I may be misspeaking. Maybe I misunderstood.
Okay. All right, well, maybe I did. My understanding is that this person is doing the outreach and education,
Yeah.
both intergovernmental kind of across departments. They collaborate with Extension and some other departments. And then they also do landowner education, and Soil and Water Conservation District historically has had a lot of focus on rural areas, and this position allows them to focus on suburban and even some semi-urban areas, since we have a lot of that in our county as well.
Yeah, my understanding was that this began the process of solidifying what the grant has been doing in the position.
Yes.
I guess my question is, based on this discussion here, is there somebody already doing this work who's going to get laid off if we eliminate this position from here? Or is this adding a new position? Because I'm much less likely to support it. I don't want to lay anybody off, but if this is just a brand new position, I don't know that it's something we absolutely have to do. Do we know?
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to reach out to Ms. Miller or Whitney and ask them.
So this,
Do you recall what they said?
this position, we had indicated with a letter of support when they first got the grant that we were interested in having this type of position. The grant is ending. This person's job will no longer be there so we're creating a position to replace that. Do I know for sure that the same exact person is planning to take that? I mean, I don't know the person.
No, the person in the position has left.
Okay.
She has left, and that's why I thought, and I may be misspeaking, that they were seeking and looking actively for another person to fill the grant position. That is not this position. This position
But
is
that
not
grant,
that grant.
grant ends relatively soon, right?
Well, I don't know why they would hire or get another person.
Just to continue the work, I think. I mean, I don't know either, because clearly I don't have all of the information, but this position replaces that grant position, and has a lot of the same job duties and description, and as far as what I've seen of the paperwork. Yeah.
So it sounds like there's some gray area here as to whether this is a new position. If it is a new position, then it sounds like we would want this to go through the regular process of filling out the questionnaire, going through the classification process, and that sort of thing. But I mean, if we don't know, I mean, it seems to me like
They've filled out the questionnaire.
Yeah,
They're
we've
just
got the
waiting.
paperwork
Yeah,
ready.
They just haven't brought it to PAC.
Well, point of
me.
point
I
of
haven't brought it
information.
back. I just got it back from Whitney.
I just want to make sure I understand correctly. My understanding was commissioners and commissioner administrator were having discussions with that board about this position, what that would look like, and the sentiment being that it would, why you've got it in your budget proposal. Is that correct, that this was something that you were supporting?
Correct.
Correct. Okay. All right. So it sounds to me as if we have a function that has been supported. We have commissioners and a council or commissioner administrator supportive of the function. This council's on record from 3 years back supporting the grant. I want to make sure that the gray area, which to be frank, has mired this for about 1.5 years now, the gray area doesn't choke the function, because this position is reaching out, whoever is in it is going to be reaching out to these individuals that depend on it and care on it. I want us to be cautious about that. Although I know we have budgetary constraints, we've got some demonstrated history here.
So I guess What did we commit to in our letter of support?
We did not commit to creating a new position, if that's your question.
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah. This has increased the capacity of soil and water immensely, and Ms. Miller has brought that data to us last year. It's been a while. It's been a while. But last year she brought data and the new person in showing that the number of contacts and the number of acres and things have increased dramatically since they had the new person. Counselor Hawk.
Folks, we have a lot of grant positions. And people will come to us and say, we have the opportunity to get a grant. And if we say, yes, go ahead and get the grant, we're not saying forever we've added a new person. We have a lot, if it's your determination that every grant that we get, we are committing to forever having that additional expense, even if the grant goes away, that's one thing. I don't know where you're gonna get the money, but move forward with that. But that's not what we're doing. They came to us and said, look, we've got this chance to have a grant, we want to try it out. They never had this other person, okay, they had the grant. If the grant's running out, and we're trying to see whether or not we can give our employees a raise, but instead of doing that, we're going to say, okay, you don't have your grant anymore, but go ahead, we'll cover that salary. This is not the first time we could see this, and it sure won't be the last. And I would hope that the commissioners, in their effort to support 8.5% increase, will understand that.
Well, if I may respond, I just want to point out, I don't think that making a decision about this one commits the county to every grant is going to be funded. I think we do what we always do. We look at every situation, weigh it, make a decision. I myself know that the responses that I hear about the work that office does fulfills a constituency that we have, that it reflects priorities and policies that every single person up here talks about in some form or fashion, either with our rural constituents or our constituents who are committed to water, soil, conservation, you name it. And so to me, if we had a 3-year function on this, to me that would make sense. Now, I know that's not a commitment today, but we all the time look at situations and make lots of particular decisions. And I won't call those out, but we do it. We do it every year.
Okay. You guys got a quick question?
Yes, Counselor Iverson.
I do not have access to the completed questionnaire, and would you mind sending that?
Sure.
Out?
Yeah, I got it the beginning of July, and so I don't know if
Is it, I don't know, I thought I copied you on all of the documents, so I thought.
Yeah, it's an email from you.
There's 1,000 emails that everyone gets every single day, and
I just wanted to make sure it's the right one, because
I can't forward it because it went to 3 council members, but I'll send it to Kim.
There you go. Because the first one that had been submitted, we changed.
So maybe this is an old one?
That's the only reason I was asking. But what does my note say?
Actually, there's no text. It's just SWCD job descriptions, but when I opened it, it was the WIS form.
Is it both of them?
For 2.
Yes, then you should be correct.
Okay. Yeah, so it's been a conversation going on for a long time, obviously not in this forum. And some of us have been working with Soil and Water to try to develop this into something that was palatable for council. And I do feel like the timing is unfortunate given what we're working with here in terms of trying to to fund COLA. I don't know that funding this position will make it impossible to fund a COLA of 8.5%. I don't know that that's where that is. We still have to, we have a lot of budget to work through. But I do know that this position adds capacity to a department that partners and is funded through, federal and state monies. So it's a value added to our county that Monroe County purports to be progressive about environmental issues and conservation, and I feel like it's important that we, put our money into those things. But I don't think that's any surprise to anyone here, so I will stop my soapbox. Sorry. Any other questions?
I had one, actually.
Okay. Councilor Deckard was first by a teensy bit.
We do have a lot of Midwest eyes. I had a question. I saw the Memorial Day expense. I think it's $6,000. What do we do on Memorial Day that is? Remind me.
Buy flags for all of the veterans' tombstones.
Awesome.
And I think if they might have a wreath at some of
the function here even
functions
that we
they
do.
have, yeah.
Gotcha. Awesome.
Yeah.
Councilor Crossley.
So I had a few questions. And Councilor Decker took that one. So that's one. So I'll check that off. Two, great minds think alike. The historical record preservation. I noticed it went from 87 to 10,000 as your requested budget. It's a little over 1,300. What is that for?
At the History Center, actually, we'll have some of our historical books scanned, and I think they bind them and rebound.
Rebound.
I think Julie can tell me better.
Your turn.
Some of the historical minutes have to actually be transcribed because they're not legible.
Okay.
So they do that as
That would
well.
make sense.
Yeah, so they're indexing them.
Gotcha.
So they're catching up, right? So they started at the beginning just a few years ago, so it's going to be a bit before we get caught up. But this is what, two books a year?
Yeah, and
It's not much.
I
so.
believe they forgot to do this year because
Yeah.
I was in conversation with them, and so that's why I put a little extra in. So hopefully they can get caught up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it takes them time, and there's volunteers who are working on it, so.
Got it. And then the other question that I had is, if I'm reading this right, for the current year, we were budgeted, or your office was budgeted 50,000 for support for boards, and it looks like so far you spent 1,871, but then again this year it's 50,000 for support for boards. So I feel like I had this question last year. Can you tell me again what that is for?
Certainly. That is for the city and county merged the Human Rights Commission, and so we are paying them through that particular line. Also, there was I think it was for 3 years, an agreement to fund the girls' coding camp, and that initially was presented as like $10,000 a year. However, we have been in conversation with the Women's Commission, and it's not, we're able to get it done for less, but we don't have an actual number yet. So that's kind of why I left it there. We also provide some funding for the MLK event and Lemonade Day for the Boys and Girls Club.
Okay. And then, told you, I came so much prepared. I made myself a budget binder.
Monroe.
This time last year, we understand that the state went through what they did in terms of restricting rights to abortion access. And I feel like there was something that was just starting as of August 1st of last year that would help employees have to travel if need be. Is
Yeah.
that something that's still happening?
Yes, that's part of
Okay.
our, the insurance that's available
Okay.
to our
Awesome.
employees. Yep.
Okay. And then my last question was, I know last year, Ms. Purdy, I remember this because I remember hearing you say something like, oh, if we want to, make sure that employees feel supported, we can give them an increase. We were talking about insurance, and it was a lot of conversation. I have a weird memory. But I wanted to take it back because I know, again, I had brought up last year the conversation of supporting some of the employees for paid family leave. And I just wanted to see, I know that was something that maybe we talked about, and I don't know that was something that had ever come back around full circle. And I'm just curious to see if there is any talk. Could we start some type of pilot program? I do understand everybody wants to have the big increase. And of course, we will try to do all that we can to get to that point. But I also truly believe that in addition to the 8.5, employees would like to have other incentives such as that. So I was just curious to see if there was any type of conversation to kind of circle that back around, and if not, how can we start that?
Well, I think that's actually an excellent question. It has stalled, and I'm not entirely sure where it has stalled. I do know that for family leave, it's handled differently in different areas. So different institutions handle it differently. Some actually have employees who elect to be part of it, and so a portion of their pay is put into a specific pot each pay cycle. Sometimes that is completely funded by that employee. Other times it is matched by the employer. Sometimes the estate will have this.
States will have
like a
paid
tax,
family,
per se,
yes.
and then they collect the money, and then it gets dispersed out. We don't have that here in Indiana. And so the question is, how would you want to set it up? I mean, if you want to have that, and then this is probably where I said something about all employees, because not all employees want to have children, not all employees can. So anyway, so how do you want to set it up? I think that it's something that you could consider, certainly, and determine how you wanted to pose that. There's other ideas. You could. I'm just thinking you could have employees who would like to have that benefit. The other thing is how long do you want? Because a lot of times it's just like 2 weeks in addition to whatever their regular, if they take their maternity leave. So usually a lot of places will just cover 2 weeks of paid time off. So you'd have to decide how much you wanted to do. The other thing that you could do is you could have maybe a bank, if you will, where employees, because we get a personal day every month, and maybe they would want to put half of their, like the first 6 months' personal days into a bank to be used later, at some point in time later. I mean, it does require some forethought on an employee to do that. Anyway, it's just kind of.
May I say something additional? Because I've thought about this and looked at things. It covers much more than just birth of a child. And so there's a lot of ways that could be taken. I agree with this. But we also have some very small departments, and we've seen that with Michelle out. In fact, what happens when you have a department of just 2 people and one person is off? They can't necessarily handle that whole department. So we'd have to figure out how we would come up with some kind of temp system to fill in for people if they do take this family leave. I am for this. I definitely am for this. I think it's a benefit that is important. The city started offering it, I think, and we know who we're competing with, and we've got to be cognizant of those kinds of things too.
Yeah, I think that the council last year was pretty favorable and supportive of doing this. And I think, you know, whoever we're competing against, or, you know, however the logistics have to work out to cover statutory duties of different departments, this is, I think it's an obligation that we take care of our people in this way and offer this type of benefit. I guess I'm a little bit at a juncture where I thought that this type of policy would be coming from the commissioner's office rather than being driven by council.
Well, since it's fiscal, that's where I was putting it back on you guys, or maybe just give us some direction as to what you want to, because it's a cost.
Well, and perhaps with bringing on this new person in the HR department, we could start to utilize some of their time to help us map out what this could look like.
I think
that's an excellent
well,
idea.
I understand that, but I think we need a little bit more direction. Do you want to pay for 3 months? What kind of timeline are you guys looking at? Because it's all money, right? That's what all of this is. It's all money.
Yes. If I can jump in here on this, when you all came forward with the cost of living recommendation, I mean, we had to find the money for that.
Exactly.
We did that fairly quickly. On this one, this is very much in sort of your bailiwick, and as a result of our COLA discussions, our county employees are sending us messages that are really talking more about things other than money. They're talking about childcare. They're talking about taking care of their family, working under their conditions, being supportive, assistance they need to get, other things they need to get. I think we're open to figuring out an amount we could do. We're kind of looking for the commissioners for a direction on what you wanted to do. We're all kind of collected in this, some of those needs that county employees are talking to us about. In fact, in the messages, they mention money, but they really talk about the needs they have in their lives, which are magnificent in scope and big to correct. And one of these seems to be taking care of living in the community we're all elected to serve, which is not as affordable as folks would hope it would be and as it once was.
What if we came back to you with a proposal in, I don't know, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, something like that?
Yeah, we'll put something together.
I think that definitely would work. I think I'm willing to throw anything to a wall that sticks. And if we try to do it and it doesn't work, at least we know that we tried and it didn't work.
Well, I really appreciate you bringing this up.
Yeah. As a mom of 3, and have worked a job in which my youngest, I could not take off at all as much as I could. I had to use all my vacation time, and I was back in 2 weeks. And my husband was fortunate enough to be able to be at the job where he was able to take a longer paid time leave. And again, as Councilmember Decker had said, I related so much to all of those emails, and I'm sure we all have, in regards to how people are saying childcare, all of the different things. And I guess my responsibility as one member of the fiscal body is just trying to figure out, besides the increase, how can we be able to help employees as much as can, because if we can do that, we can retain people. And, you know, it's the gift that keeps on giving is county government. So anything that we can say that we are able to do I'm just trying to think outside the box and just trying to think that. So I'm willing, it sounds like we're all willing to work together and see what we can do, but that's definitely a dream of mine to see how we can make that work. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
So we look forward to hearing from you. And if you do need something from us in the meantime, please don't hesitate to
I think
ask.
the Indiana Institute on Working Families has put together some different things as well.
That'd be great. Check it
great.
out.
Yeah.
Okay, did you have a comment did anyone over there at that table have a comment? Because it looked like people were maybe trying to get attention.
I don't know that I had a comment at the time, but I guess I have a comment now.
Okay.
I'm happy to, I have obtained a copy of the city policy, and I'm happy to work with HR to get other policies and work with the commissioners on helping look at the possibilities for that.
Perfect.
Thank you. Counselor McKim.
Are we ready to move on to their budget? I have
think-
another question about the budget, sorry.
You want to talk about budgets?
What's going on with HealthNet? Have the commissioner's office had any communication with them in a while? I guess
I've been over there.
my question is, I mean, remember that appropriation started when it was spunky little Volunteers in Medicine, and it's a much different organization now. It's a federally qualified health center. It's funded very differently now. I'm not as sure that $250,000 of local contribution is as necessary to their model, and maybe you can convince me otherwise. But if it's just because it's what we did before, I'm not sure that's what we should be doing.
I think that, okay, they are doing things now that they've never done before. They actually have a homeless outreach program where they have trained people going out into the field, doing testing, providing wound care, doing all kinds of other things.
Dental. Or maybe they lost their dentist. They had a dentist at one point.
But they also have recently brought on mental health things. That when you've got a psychiatric nurse practitioner that's going out into the field to meet with people and find them where they are, that is very different. And so they do need continued funding to do these kinds of initiatives for people that don't necessarily have the insurance and whatever to take care of things at the time that they're providing services. They don't stop and ask somebody, what's your insurance look like?
Yeah, so I know I know what they do. I guess my question is, are you aware currently of how that $250,000 fits into their budgetary needs?
No, they've changed hands, and since that time, we've kind of lost touch because the prior person was always really good at reaching out and
exactly.
Yeah, and sharing
changed
information
leadership.
with me, and I think that has fallen by the wayside. So I cannot answer your question.
So if I'm understanding what you're saying, we give them $250,000 and we have no reporting back from them on that?
Correct.
We used to.
We used to.
But because they've changed so much
Yeah.
As an organization and for the funding streams,
This will be the first time. I mean, last year we had it, but this is the first time that they didn't reach out to me.
You had a report last year? Is that what you're saying? Or
Yeah, that she would.
Nancy Richmond
would
used to
give
come.
Nancy
it's
would come
been
and
more
give
than a year though. Yeah.
Give a report.
Yeah, I remember Nancy for sure.
Yeah, she was very, she was great with engaging.
Yeah, and maybe
with
she
the
wouldn't
county.
always give it to you guys. I know that she would come to the commissioners, or we'd have it.
I think at the very least, we should ask for them to come talk to us or give them an invite. That's what we'll do.
So you want to report on how that money is used?
I guess, if you just ask them, do you need it? They're probably going to say yes. I guess I'm wondering if at this point we're trying to fund county services that are necessary and we're trying to give employees a raise. I'm not necessarily convinced that that's all $250,000, if that's the right amount.
Yeah, I'll just say it. I'm not super impressed with giving that amount of money and not hearing from somebody. but.
I mean, why don't we reduce it?
Well, we
and
give
then-
money to Centerstone all the time and we don't hear,
But that's required by law.
it's not required, but yeah, Centerstone is required.
Is required by
Yeah.
law.
But I have heard from Centerstone in our meetings, so.
But you're right, we used to hear from from them and then HealthNet all the
Yeah.
time when
Yeah.
Nancy was the outreach person.
We can certainly get a report for you, I'm certain, before the final budget hearing.
Yeah, and I wasn't actually even saying you specifically have to do it. I was actually saying,
We should have it from
we,
them.
No,
so, yeah.
It's in our budget, we can get it.
Actually, what's that line number?
Yeah. 33025.
Council, I move we reduce line 33025 to 150,000.
Second.
Any further question, conversation on,
I'm open to raising it back
The
up.
motion?
This is not meant to be punitive
I get
or
it.
anything. It's just,
yeah, yeah. Could we have a roll call vote on the motion?
This is to reduce line 33025 Health Net to $150,000. Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor Munson. We'll come back. Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Munson is not present.
It's all right.
Motion passed 6-0.
All right. Other questions on this budget? We've gotten off on a few different
It's
things.
always
I'm
that
like,
way with the commissioner's budget.
what budget are we even talking about? I don't remember. But no, I do. And if you had read it, so may I have a roll call vote on moving forward with the Board of Commissioners General Fund Commissioners 2024 budget request as amended?
As amended. Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk is not present. Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
and Counselor Munson.
Yes.
Motion pass 6-0.
Thank you. We're now on 14B.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 1000-0161, General Fund County Buildings with the category requests of, in the personnel category, $299,465. In the supplies category, $90,875. And in the services category, $2,6,827. And that's a total of $2,397,167.
Second.
All right. This particular fund, as you know, provides for our maintenance and janitorial personnel, including our contracted entities as well as our staff. This has all of our service contracts in it, and this was one. Are we all here? Sorry. Are we good?
What?
I'm sorry. It's everybody looking at everywhere but me.
Hey, sorry, there's photographs being taken. I'm like, what's out there? Easily distracted.
Squirrel.
My apologies. That's about right.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so this includes our service contracts, and I don't believe there's been any changes to that request. Would like to reduce the line 36012, service contracts, all buildings, to $250,000, which is the same as this year. This budget does show an increase in our trash and waste recycling costs. Those have gone up for us across the board. And then supplies have also increased. This budget has increased a significant amount over years past.
I still love that we hire a clock winder. I think that's
I know, isn't it awesome? It is.
Council, I move we reduce line 36012 service contracts to $250,000.
Second.
Any questions about reducing that line?
Thank you, by the way, for
Yeah,
bringing that to our
absolutely.
attention.
Yeah, that's great. Could we have a roll call vote on reducing line 36012?
Was there a second on that motion?
Yeah, it was Trent.
Thank you. Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you. So other items or questions in this budget?
I have.
Okay, oh, I'm sorry, please go ahead.
That's okay. What, so there's a new line there for, related to the parking garage, it looks like. Is that?
That is for the maintenance. I split it out. So what had happened in the past, it had all been included as one under the Justice Building Management. And it's just, for my sake, I preferred to have it broken out so I can see exactly what's going on, how much time we spend on the park garage.
Okay, thanks. So
You're
it's not a real increase, it's just
It's just a
splitting
different
out.
spot, yeah.
Got it. Okay. Sorry, just making sure that I kind of have heard on all of these. Any other questions from council on this budget? Going once? You good? All right. In that case, could we please have a roll call vote on moving forward with the Board of Commissioners General Fund County Buildings budget request?
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor McKim.
Yes.
Motion passed 6-0.
Thank you. And now we are on to 14C.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 1000-0307, General Fund Fleet, with the category requests of, in personnel, $76,480. In the services category, $34,100, for a total of $110,580.
Second.
Okay, then.
All right, this particular budget takes care of 75% of our fleet and building manager's salary. And it basically just takes care of the maintenance and repair replacement for our non-law enforcement vehicles. And this year, if you're keeping track of new lines, we added the assessor maintenance. We were able to get them a vehicle last year, I think it was. And so we needed to make sure that we have an ability to maintain it.
Any questions? Counselor Iverson?
Lynn Stafford is a consultant with Drive Clean Indiana, and there was a report done on greening our fleets, and I just wanted to know what the status of that was.
So they just made a presentation to the Sheriff's Department. They submitted a report that I have, and I believe it was submitted with their presentation. And they're essentially pitching propane. And I really haven't dove into that, really. I think my mind's been kind of electric lately, so the propane is something new to me, and I need to explore it a little more.
Yeah.
I've actually Drive Clean Indiana. I've been working with them. I've been working with Duke Energy, and that focus is more electric vehicle. And yeah, it's all very recent.
Yeah, that's why I was asking for an update, because it's been moving fast ever since they made a presentation to the Environmental Commission. It seems like they didn't miss a step, and they've been, working pretty fast here.
I think the next step with the Drive Clean Indiana is we need to sit down with the commissioners and do a presentation with them.
Yeah, it sounds like there's some pretty major conversations to be had about whether to remain on gasoline or go to electric or go to propane.
Yeah,
or,
I think,
or what mix of the.
We had actually looked at biofuel vehicles before COVID hit. So everything got put on hold for a little bit, and then we added Richard, which is, we trust him to be the expert. So we're catching up.
the propane, I think my first thought on it is, where are we going to fill up, a fleet of propane vehicles? I think that's the big challenge there, and I just haven't wrapped my mind around that quite yet.
That is all right. As you know, there's a lot of change going on in the EV charging world, and I'm not sure that anybody expects you to have your mind made up tonight, especially as the commissioners haven't had a conversation.
Yeah, and so just to give you guys something else to think about when you're talking to the state, what is going to happen to our MVH and our funding for our highway when more and more vehicles go electric? I think that's something that is a concern.
And the EV fee that's now being charged.
Yeah, that's one thing. There is a registration surcharge.
Oh,
when
is
you,
there?
When you register.
Oh, yeah.
That's there. Yeah, it's
Believe me.
Okay.
I was like, oh, that's where it
the two EV owners here.
I see.
Yeah, there is a surcharge, and that's meant to replace the loss from fuel consumption, from fuel taxes.
Okay. All right. Very good. And then the other thing I want to say is getting vehicles right now is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Be them of any kind of propulsion.
Yeah.
They're very difficult to obtain. So, now, Richard did drive what was it that, what are those?
Talking about the Tesla?
Yeah.
Actually, I found out that Tesla has a fleet program, so I visited with them and started an email communication, and I thought that would be kind of interesting to explore as well. But again, it's early.
The self-driving versions, like we're just gonna have self-driving cars.
No, the government fleet model isn't quite there yet.
But there's a
Cardboard
sheriff.
cut out of Elon Musk.
Yeah.
And there's actually some sheriff's departments that are beginning to incorporate them in their fleet, and I'm interested in doing some research on that.
In the presentation, the Environmental Commission, they were talking a lot about what do you do with sheriff's fleet vehicles, and what do the folks that actually drive those cars need, and it was a great presentation.
Yeah, they did a great job.
Yeah, I have no further questions.
Okay. Anyone else? Questions on this budget? No? Okay. Then could I have a roll call vote, please, on moving forward with the Board of Commissioners General Fund, where are we? Fleet.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley. Yes. Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
We are at 14D.
Did you want to?
I do want to also add real quick, the As we look at expanding our solar capabilities at our different facilities, part of that is adding the electric car chargers at those facilities. So look for that.
Yeah, that's the advantage of a propane. One of them. Yeah. Okay.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 11140068, Public Safety Lit Commissioners, with the category requests of, in the services category, $25,000, in the capital category, $10,000, for a total of $35,000.
Second.
There it is. Okay.
This is a relatively self-explanatory budget. The commissioners have a location in the lit because they have their own funding. And so instead of using county general to pay for these things, the utilities have been put into here.
Okay. Are there questions on this budget?
Oh, I know why I was so confused. This is not public safety lit. This is lit special purpose.
Right.
Okay. It's in the script as.
I'm
public
sorry.
safety. I know. You and I are both like, this is not tracking.
I didn't hear you say that. I'm sorry. It's just, yes, lit special purpose.
I Ted Burgundy.
I'm sorry.
No.
I'm
It
gonna,
tracks now.
I'm gonna amend my prior motion to say lit special purposes.
Yes.
Second.
Okay.
No mean scripts, folks.
And in that case, yes. No questions from anyone? Got it? Okay. In that case, we have a roll call vote on moving forward with the Board of Commissioners lit special purpose budget request.
Counselor Crossley.
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz.
Yes.
Counselor Munson.
Yes.
Counselor Iverson.
Yes.
Counselor McKim.
Yes.
Counselor Deckard.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
14E.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 11380000, Cumulative Capital Development, with the category requests of, in the personnel category, $733,166. In the services category, $1,250,000. In the capital category, $1,763,000. And the total is $3,746,166.
Second.
Okay. Cum Cap, what do we have here?
Well, this is a, is this a rate fund? I've just gone blank in my, yes, thank you. Yeah, I was just like, I've just gone blank. I'm pretty sure it's a rate fund. Okay, great. And in this fund, we support the majority of our technical services personnel, our expenses for software, maintenance of IT equipment, contractual requirements for IT, and a copier lease payment that's required. This is also where we purchase the sheriff vehicles, sheriff body armor, and the replacement repair of body work for sheriff vehicles. This is also where we have the maintenance for all of our buildings. We moved all into one line, and in this particular budget. And it also will provide matching grants, much to my chagrin at times, as in this year, when we had to pony up about $1 million right off the top of the bat. But for highway and for airport, specifically grant projects.
That's a lot.
And I want to ask, if I may, Councilmember McKim, did you show the cum as deficit?
I think so, but let's see. What is
Yeah, it was like 231.
But it's operating balance.
Oh, yeah. did, let's see, what is the budget? The budget is 3,746,000, is that?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yep.
this year's 4 million. Good.
But you had.
No,
Last year was,
2023 is current, I should
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
sorry.
Right, but we look at the auditors, the 4Bs that they sent.
while he's doing that, can I gush?
Mm-hmm.
The GIS coordinator, that position has
Yes.
just been transformative.
Oh, it truly has, yes.
While Jeff's looking for that number, it's been so great to have that position here in the
John's
county.
fabulous.
And the website that's come out with that work is just really interesting.
Yeah, the work that he's doing for our departments is amazing to me. Just how much involved he is and what can be done through their services. It's pretty remarkable.
He's transformed it. He really has. It's very robust what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, according to the data that the auditors got right now, yeah, it's in a little bit of a deficit, like $231,000. But I mean, you've got a 60% operating balance. So I mean, it's a well-funded budget.
It is generally good. I just wanted to point out that it was a deficit.
And some of this, I mean, it looks like you've got some things that are just there in case you need it, right? Like industrial infrastructure.
The industrial, yeah, that was for the highway department. Is that for 2700? Yes, that is. Yeah.
That's like basically paying the county stormwater. That's where our left hand pays our right hand, right?
Huh?
That's where our left hand pays our right
It
hand
is.
for stormwater.
It's absolutely insane. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Our stormwater drainage. Yeah, it's right hand, left. Industrial infrastructure. That is just in case something comes up. And then I know that airport we do have a match in here for airport for next year. And it's pretty much the parking garage is just usually Commissioner Hawk's concern, is paid out of this particular fund. So.
Can I?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
No, it's okay.
Go
That's
ahead.
why
I got
totally.
sucked in.
I know the Microsoft contract on the software line
Yeah.
is expensive, but that's such a great investment to move away from the document storage service that we're using currently.
Yes.
Is good. And I think Greg had said that, I think Mr. Cohen said that we were all of the employees have migrated over now.
Yeah, and then he told me this morning that because of the Microsoft 365 and the way it's been kind of funny about our emails, right? That what comes in and what is allowed to come in, he was able to shut down a couple of spam, basically. It was what is it? It's like if you get coupons for whatever. You know, one person was getting like 19,000 coupon emails in a month. I mean, that's just crazy. So that's not happening now.
That's a lot.
And will that impact the service that we use for these meetings? Currently, we're using a Zoom product.
Yes.
Well, can you talk more about that?
A little bit. I'd look to see if Greg was still around. But yeah, we will be migrating from Zoom to Teams. And the public will not be affected. It's an easy, they can do it on their browser, just like Zoom. And TSD is also going to show us how to set up Teams. He's going to put, I think, Kim maybe and Molly in charge, which is going to replace Dropbox and clean up some of our duplication of data and everything of that nature. Oh, that was the other thing, duplication of data. So those 19,000 spam emails, basically, we were receiving and then also backing them up, right? And so that costs us to back all that up. So yeah, you're right, it is expensive, but it has it has given us some benefits that I think we'll continue to see.
Yeah.
Other questions? Okay. Let me find where we are here then. Sorry.
Is she waiting on us? Are you waiting on me?
No,
Oh.
I'm waiting on me because I flipped the pages in my thing. And it's- we're on Cume Cap, right?
Correct.
Sorry.
You need a cookie?
I need like 10 cookies. So could we have the roll call vote for the cumulative capital development fund budget request?
Counselor Wiltz.
Yes.
Counselor Iverson.
Yes.
Counselor Deckard.
Yes.
Counselor Munson.
Yes.
Counselor McKim.
Yes.
Counselor Crossley.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Excellent. 14F.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 1170-0068 Public Service Lit Commissioners with a category request of $200,000 in the capital category for a total of the same.
Second, with the correction that it's public safety lit.
You got me again. And I did
Upside
too.
down.
Well, this one is an easy one, I think, for you guys. First of all, I propose that we reduce that line to 50,000. And that you actually move that line into, and I believe you kind of asterisked this for Mr. Cron's budget, about possibly moving it into cable. So I would move to reduce it to 50,000, and then you guys can put it wherever you want. How'd that go?
Council, I move we reduce line 47100 to $50,000.
Second.
Any questions? Could we have a roll call vote on reducing that line?
My bad. Counselor Iverson.
Yes.
Counselor Deckard.
Yes.
Counselor Munson.
Yes.
Counselor McKim.
Yes.
Counselor Crossley.
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you.
Council, I move to open for discussion.
That was just an amendment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
I know, we're getting excited. Any other questions about the public safety lit budget? No?
My question is this one that you're gonna look to move later?
Maybe.
Maybe,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna mark it that
Yeah.
way, okay?
Yeah.
You should definitely move it to at least the location of 0106.
Oh.
So you could leave it in the public safety, but move it to a
Oh,
different
I
location.
see. Okay. I'm sorry. I should have done that as one motion. And so I move we move this line entirely 47100 to 1170-0106 TSD. So same fund, different location.
Second.
All right.
Got it. So now it's consolidated there, and then we can move it again. Got it.
Wow.
Catching up. Any other questions?
I just wanna make sure I've got it clear. We're moving
Oh,
0068 47, which that line into 0106. Okay.
yes.
Right.
And then
No.
the commissioners will not have a budget in 2024 at this point in time in the public safety lit.
It'll just be tech services. Yeah.
Okay, I just wanna make sure I was clear, so.
Because they've zeroed it out.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw that. Thank you. Okay,
All right.
so we need to have a roll call vote on moving that $50,000 into TSD's line,
Okay.
please.
Counselor Munson,
Yes. Sorry.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes?
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Great, and so we still then need to vote on the whole shebang, which is now a shebang of zero.
It's zero now.
But we still are gonna vote on it, right? Let's vote.
You're approving a zero budget.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, let's vote on
All
a
right.
zero budget. A vote on moving forward with a zero budget for the Commissioner's Public Safety Lit.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Munson.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Go ahead.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 11380000, Public Safety Lit Fleet with the category requests of, in personnel, $25,495, in services, $204,000, for a total of $229,495.
Second.
Okay, this is again a relatively simple budget with the exception of the amount maybe appropriate or requested for the sheriff's maintenance vehicles. The other thing I would like to add is that our fleet and maintenance manager, administrative director, is paid 25% out of this particular fund.
Who is? Oh,
Our
hi.
fleet and building manager.
I just didn't hear what you said. I'm
Well,
sorry.
I kind of said a lot of things. I was
Like what?
It's getting late.
I was mumbling a little bit. But if you're needing to find some balance at some point, I think we could easily justify 50% and 50% if that's something that would help the council at any point in time between public safety and county general in this particular position. And we can easily justify the time involving the sheriff. And
Could you tell us about the increase in the sheriff's maintenance line?
Double. I mean,
the request for, well, at this point in time, and I'm going to let Richard speak more to it if he can, but at this point in time, we've already expended $149,000 this year. The costs are not going down for these vehicles, and they use them hard. And so they get an oil change every 3,000?
Yeah, right now we try to do every 3,000 miles. So I think the parts have increased significantly. Also, some of the cars have some years and high miles on them now. And like we talked about earlier, availability for new vehicles is a little bit of an issue for me. And that's it, really. These, from the way I see it, some of the fleet's aging, and I need to be able to rotate them out with some newer vehicles. And the parts, you know, I think the oil changes and that thing are reasonable, but yeah, they're requiring a significant amount of repair work.
Could you tell them when you ordered the new vehicles for this year, and do we have them yet?
No, I submitted the letter of intent last year around this time. Actually, it was just after budget hearings, and I was told we would have those cars in April, but here we are, and I still haven't seen any of the pursuit vehicles.
Wow.
So, you know, and 6 additional would be very helpful right now.
Okay, yes, Counselor Iverson.
Do we do that maintenance in-house, the oil changes, tire rotation?
No, we don't. We contract that out to Sturgis Garage.
Questions to my right? Any other questions on that? Okay. In that case, could we have a roll call vote on moving forward with the Commissioner's Public Safety Lit Fleet Fund budget request?
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you. 14H.
Okay. Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 1215-0068, Election Fund Commissioners with category requests of, in the services category, $55,000 for a total of the same.
Second.
Okay.
Yes.
This was another fund that I actually asked for an additional in than what I had submitted. And not only did I send you a number, I didn't send you a high enough number. So rent for the election operations, Napa building, is actually $57,400 for the year. And so if we could amend line 30011 to reflect that $57,400, that would be great. Help.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. I know I'm on the wrong side. Right. What? Who do we actually pay rent to? Is it the building corporation? Okay.
Yeah, for the convention center, yeah.
All right.
This is another one, kind of, yeah.
I know, one hand paying another.
Yeah.
But I know it was paid, since it was paid for by innkeeper's tax.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
I understand. So, council, I move we increase line 30011 to 57,400.
Second.
Any questions or further discussion? In that case, could we have a roll call vote on increasing the line for rent for election operations?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch everything. So are we adding 57 or we're going a total of 57?
Total of 57,400 for
Thank
that
you.
line.
Okay.
For that.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Great.
Thank you.
We still have, okay. Yeah, we have to vote on the underlying one. Utilities in this one, is this just for Napa?
Yeah.
I guess I shouldn't keep calling it that, but.
And again, I just pulled a number out of the air for electric, water. I don't think it has any gas. Do they have gas?
Yeah.
They might have gas.
They do have gas.
Wow, that's a lot. Okay, any questions from my colleagues? No? No? All right. Could we please have a roll call vote on the election fund commissioners category, or, I'm sorry, the budget request. God, all the words.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor McKim.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
14I.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 2502-0000 Cable Franchise with a category request of $373,930 in services category for a total of the exact same amount.
Second.
Okay, this fund is the one in which we pay generally CATs from, and as you can see, the weather WFIU and WFHB for the weather alert systems. And then this is also the reprographics, and I laugh because I never know what that word means, and I always ask Greg, and he hit me up this morning, first thing, so I know exactly what it is. It's for printing and copying.
Okay.
I will tell you that this is another situation in which we have a transition in leadership. So for CATS, usually Michael White would reach out to me, send me information as to what his request was. I didn't get it, and so I just submitted a flat budget. So just letting you know that's what I did.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, they're continuing to record meetings and broadcast them, so that part's good.
In fairness, they are here.
They are here.
They're probably swearing at us by now.
Yeah, no kidding. Are there any questions? Yes, Councilor Iverson.
I do have a question on the community access TV line. Currently, what's happening is when public meetings are recorded, it's published on CATS's website, and then on the county calendar for that meeting, there's the Zoom link. So when we move away from Zoom, will we still be doing that practice where there'll be a Teams link and a CATS recording?
That is my understanding, but that is a question for Mr. Cron.
Sure.
And I'll double check with him in the morning.
I want to say that I did talk to Greg about that, and yes, that there will be a link, and it will be just like we're doing currently.
Interesting. It's interesting that there's 2 recordings of the same meeting.
I think that CATS is grabbing our
Okay.
Zoom link, our feed, because it has the subtitles and everything. They're grabbing our feed and then posting it, and then we have the links on the website. And we're talking about having easier to find recorded meetings on the website. So we're looking at possibly having another
That would be good.
tab, if you will, on the main page, so you can find used prior meetings.
Councilor McCann.
One of the nice things about doing the way we do it, with providing a link either Zoom or the Teams meetings, is that it's integrated with the transcript. And I mean, you can search through the transcript, you can click on that word, it takes you right to the meeting, the video clip where you want to be. And I think that's just a huge improvement in usability.
It really is. That word might not have been spoken in the meeting because of the inaccuracies and.
It's not perfect. Yeah, it's an AI. It is AI transcription.
But you can find it.
Really, what you want to do is just kind of find the right place.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right.
And it's had a fiscal impact in the county council budget. It's having a change. It's making a change in the way we do business.
Yes, it is. Other questions?
Yeah, I like it. This is just one of these funds that, we keep thinking is going to disappear.
I know.
And it just keeps hanging on, and people are still, AT&T basically, keeps us alive.
Yes. Yeah, we brought in $303,405 to date. I suspect we'll have one more.
Yeah, we should have a fourth quarter.
Yeah.
The operating balance is huge on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm suggesting, at the end of the day, we move 100,000 or so of miscellaneous expenses.
Yeah, this would be my recommendation of our funds.
Okay. I think we're ready for a roll call vote. Could we have that, please, for the cable franchise fund budget request?
Councilor Crossley.
Yes.
Councilor Iverson.
Yes.
Councilor Munson.
Yes.
Councilor Wiltz.
Yes.
Councilor McKim.
Yes.
Councilor Deckard.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you. And that concludes our first budget hearings, and our meeting is recessed until tomorrow, Thursday, September 7th, 2023 at 5 p.m.